Okay, I approve the agenda as presented. I guess I'm having no changes.
I'll make a motion to accept the approval of the agenda as presented.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? 3-0. Okay, approval of minutes, 11/11/2014, were mailed to each of us, one of us. You guys look them over, have all of them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for 11/11/2014.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor? 3-0. Okay, we're up to this lady called Susie Goodall. Replace trailer, place trailer.
No, it's to replace it.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, we already tore one
It's
down.
funny that I said that, it says place. Okay, it says
I
place.
don't know if you want that. This is site. It was known as Lester Lee's trailer when I was a kid. Okay.
This is the old one.
Yeah, we took it down.
Oh,
Because-
took it down. Oh,
Yeah, we took it down. It was falling down.
yeah, right.
So we took it down and we'd like to replace it with, on the back, there's a, sorry guys, I took pictures earlier today. There's a copy of the one we're gonna replace it with. It's not very good, but it's a,
Yeah,
the trailer's nice.
Mhm.
The picture isn't great, because it was dark before we realized that the SIM card was on the camera. So we went and took pictures of it. Do you not have one?
I don't know. Is it-
Yeah, you do.
Oh, it's that.
I took a couple of different sites because this is a pad that was the car, this was
Oh, that's where the trailer was.
that's, yeah, and that's where, it was a garage that was just
Yeah.
falling in,
Yeah.
and I was worried somebody's gonna get hurt, and it
That's
had
the
a
new
front
trailer?
porch. That's the new trailer.
Oh, oh,
Okay,
okay. Did you get a copy of the regulations here?
I did.
They're pretty stiff, I guess, you know that.
But I talked to Jim probably within the last couple of years, he told me I should be grandfathered in, that we should be good, and we took it down, so.
Take it down and put another one in its place. And what would you be putting in its place?
A 90, I think it's a 94 or 97 trailer. It's nice, I mean, it's, you know, we redid the front of our buildings, we're not gonna trash it up. I've redone a lot of stuff and took down stuff and made it better for the city, and I sell real estate and brought in different businesses and stuff, so my deal isn't to trash it up. We may not live here, but we do have that, interest in that, in it.
Well, as you know, Susie, I'm pretty new in this game. Everything changes every meeting. So, we'd have to look at it and see what they can do. I don't know whether you can grandfather something in or not. If it ain't, if it's there, it's kind of put it in. If it disappears before you tore it down.
I don't have that. I
Well-
don't have that ordinance in front of me.
It says in C,
Who needs one?
home that was currently resides in the city of Granby will be grandfathered into this ordinance.
Yeah.
So,
The problem is, I'm gonna have to be the bad guy here, I guess. The new ordinance, the way it was written, was that there would be, under no circumstance, a mobile home placed in the TIF list.
okay, is that in here? I didn't, oh, on the very first one, but then on C, it says any mobile home that is grandfathered in. And it was in there, and it was also in there, Travis, when we did the TIF district. And trust me, Rusty and I probably pay more taxes to TIF and have never got to use TIF, and we tried in '06 to be the facelift our buildings and couldn't get anywhere with it. So,
The TIF has been a problem.
It is a real problem.
I will admit.
so you're telling me that the trailer that's up there, the next time it falls down, just to go ahead and let it go, and you guys can take it down, or what? Because my intention was is to replace with better and take down dilapidated instead of leaving it there.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
This
that's
is
yours.
one of those, this is one of those, I mean, I'm one person, but this is one of those deals where the way the ordinance was written up was to use the TIF as, I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, but,
do you?
and I don't want to offend you whatsoever.
Yeah, do you?
And I know you're a business owner and all this stuff, but it was for the purpose of TIF to be used for what it was supposed to be used for.
and nobody's got any use out of TIF. We tried, no six. We tried to get use out of TIF. Nobody's got any use out of TIF but who? Dollar General, Striblings, and the city.
Well,
And I'm not asking to use TIF, but I'm telling you, that trailer was already there when TIF was put into, or
But
into the deal.
it was removed.
It was removed, but it was just finished being removed. We had to clean it up, I mean, you know. And it does say on C that, you know, upon removal of the property, owner wishes to replace it with another unit, the replacement must meet all the guidelines of the ordinances. You know, there's already gas there, there's already water there, I mean, there's everything there.
Oh, I'm not doubting that at all.
And we're not asking to set a new one.
The language here on section C, if I'm understanding this right, when we decided to put together this new ordinance, and I am reading from the new ordinance, all right,
That's what's supposed to be.
was, the mobiles that are there are grandfathered in unless they are removed. Then it looks like it says upon removal, if the owner wishes to replace it with another unit, the replacement must meet all the guidelines of this ordinance. And that's the entire ordinance. Am I reading that correctly?
I guess,
That was
it's a little confusing, but.
It is a little confusing. So, well, I mean, this is my starting point. You guys tell me where to go from here.
Well, to be for sure, says we ought to be for sure, haven't we?
We had,
And I didn't, like I say, I don't know. It's, it's funny, you're the first one that came up, and this is already hitting its first time.
well, it's a replacement. Most people want to move probably in new. We don't want to, I mean, we just want to replace what was there. And I may take out the other one that's in front of it that is not great looking.
I'm glad you tore it down, I'm really proud of it.
Well,
I'm hoping to I'm trying to get some more down, I got a couple.
there's
more down.
plenty up there that needs to be tore down,
Oh,
you
yeah, a
know.
lot of houses too.
The only other problem would be, what year did you say it was?
It's a 94 or 97.
Because also in the ordinance, it's 5 years removed.
Okay, where's that at?
B at the very
About 2
bottom
lines,
of the very
D, you say?
B.
When placed in a manufacturer on a private lot, said home shall be located closer than 10 feet to any side lot and shall be located within 25 feet. The mobile home will be 5 years or newer with a title or certificate verifying the date. You're right.
And I apologize, probably the proper way for this to have been was when you come to City Hall and all this stuff. Should.
No, I'm good with that
Yeah.
because you guys know that I'm probably gonna go seek legal advice, so, you know. Because when we took it out, it was a total different ordinance and you changed it, so that's fine.
About how long has it been gone?
It hadn't been gone a year, maybe? But it took us a little while, it hasn't been gone the whole time, we had to clean it up. You don't just take one out that old, like we had to take it down, burn it, we had to remove the frame. And I think they just hauled the frame off within the last 2 months. And I came in probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't remember.
about a month ago.
Yeah. So, and I had asked Jim, and Jim said that's a lot, you know. I take it to
Actually, that's
Jim.
before the new ordinance.
Well, I didn't know there's new ordinance, I mean, how was you supposed to know it's going in whenever you're already in the middle of doing something?
It's just one of those deals that,
Okay,
I mean, we're gonna have to, if we don't live by the ordinance, we might as well just throw everything out.
but you can't keep changing ordinances in the middle
I
of people
agree.
doing things to their
Well,
property.
I think that, you know, the original ordinance, the way it was drafted several years ago, it should have been stuck with, and it was a lot like what we've got right now, and then it got changed. And I don't agree with the changing game, you
Yeah,
know,
you
rules
can't
halfway through the
keep doing
game.
that.
But at some point, we're gonna have to say, okay, we ain't going back, and this is, and there was, we spent the first 6 months trying to get this to make it usable and not make it unfriendly to anyone. And I apologize for
And you should.
misinformation. Well, I mean,
Because it is unfriendly for somebody that, I mean, Travis, we've done nothing but clean up that property.
I understand.
You know, and we've done nothing but, I mean, I bought the feed store in town, I put businesses in those buildings down there,
I understand.
you know, so it is, I mean, not fair to the landowners that are trying to better it and, receive revenue for the city to operate on.
As far as the TIF deal, in 6 years it'll be over and then we'll have a whole new.
Well, the TIF deal shouldn't even, you guys should figure out how to, sorry. You guys should figure out how to nix that right now because nobody gets any use out of it.
Here's the leader. Right.
Well, I mean, really,
That's coming in your deal.
how do you nix it instead of keeping it, how long were we signed into that deal?
23 years.
Yeah, because we tried to use it in '06 to facelift our buildings. Nobody's got to use it, Bill, have they, besides the city and Styrens? And maybe the school? That's the only ones I know of.
Well,
So you guys,
We've
if you can
done-
figure out how to rewrite an ordinance, surely you can figure out how to rewrite the TIF deal to get out of it.
TIF is contributed to the buildings up here, to the ballpark, to the park down here.
Well, if I recall right, because I went to a board meeting at the school, there were funds commingled for the park stuff, right? Out of the TIF district, and Paul had to put them back. So, they never did clarify where that money came from, for sure. And that was just at a board meeting that I went to, the superintendent announced it. So, but I'm just saying.
He's Newton.
yeah. I'm just saying that,
Yeah.
you guys, TIF is worthless, and it's costing, even though I don't live here and I don't have voting power, we do own property here, and we're paying how much? More than any of you guys, I guarantee you. I don't know, is anybody paying on TIF? Who's paying on TIF?
Yes, but it's not an increase. All it is that they take a portion of the.
But ours is
school.
commercial buildings, so it's higher than everybody else's. See what I'm saying?
But in reality, it won't, your taxes.
Of course, I didn't come here to talk to you about TIF, so
Well, I know, but
I'll be quiet.
Well, let me
Yeah.
try to explain it to you. In reality, when the TIF's over, your taxes,
We'll go back down?
It'll be the
Still gonna be the same.
your taxes would be the same
I
if you
was
weren't,
teasing you.
I know, but your taxes would, that's a common, misperception about it, is the taxes are the same, it's just where they go. Instead of going to the school and everything, they go into that TIF fund.
Well, I can have a move from the city to the school. Because we found that out several years ago when we pulled Grasshopper out and went to Joplin. So, we didn't do it, but they told us we had that right to tell where it goes.
And I apologize for this, and
That's fine.
you should have been informed early on into this.
We should have
as
been
soon
before
as
we
you
ever
can.
took it down, because we probably wouldn't have took it down.
But it's hard
It looked like
to,
Mr. Green jeans on that hill, instead of when you come off the hill, look decent.
but
So,
But he's got new owners now.
he does?
Yeah,
Well, they're still around down there, it's down there,
they're cleaning it up, they're burning a bunch of stuff.
so.
Not a lot yet, but
Okay, am I done? Can I be?
Yes, ma'am. Susan. Glad you came, you put the light on a lot of stuff. Okay, we got United Military Mortgage, LLC, the business license at 554 West Valley.
This is Miss Natasha.
And we will be putting a business in here to support VA mortgage loans. And the home office is based out of Linden, Utah. In order to service the men and women in the state of Missouri, they have to have a home office in Missouri. So it's just-
Military. Yeah. That sounds good. Is that, I want to ask you a question. Is it the building next to Chip?
Yeah.
That's it, okay.
Yeah, that's not there right next
We
door.
all know where it's at.
then you guys will be conducting business out of there, and I think it will be a functional mortgage company.
Mhm, yeah. The state of Missouri requires it, not all states do that, but they require it, so they have to put a home office here in Missouri. And I'm hired to manage the office and run the office.
Sounds great.
How many employees do we have, just yourself, or?
Myself for right now, and in the future, I'd see probably maybe a couple more. Unless we grow.
Okay. Well, you guys want to make a motion?
I make a motion to give United Military Mortgage LLC a business license at 554 West Valley.
Here a second?
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor? Great or nothing, you got it, lady.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Could we ask their names, please?
Huh?
Oh, I'm Natasha Margulies.
I couldn't pronounce her last name. Natasha.
Okay, Natasha Margulies.
Okay, we got a guy here we all know, if you don't, you will when he stands up. Dean Spears, Alger Martin, and Associates. You're gonna give us a presentation, isn't that right, Gene? And then
Well-
if we wanna ask questions, you'll tell us that you're ready for questions, right?
Fair enough.
I think that's what we're talking about, yeah. Okay,
Members of the council, I had related to your mayor 2 or 3 weeks ago that I was going to attend a meeting to be sponsored by the Missouri Water and Wastewater Association in Columbia, Missouri. The purpose of that meeting was to provide information to different municipalities, to engineering firms, other groups, rural water districts, etc. The fact that rural development apparently has a rather sizable amount of money, and they were wanting to make sure that everyone understood that they would be open to receive applications for grants and loans for improvements to the water and wastewater facilities. That's the purpose of it. I came back and related to Richard that I had attended, and I gave him some of the documentation that I had procured while I was up there. But apparently, well, they made note of the fact that last year they had to return something like $12 million because of the fact that they did not have applications, did not have interest in their programs. My own personal opinion is I think that they were somewhat embarrassed to have to admit that. But they made a concerted effort this time to make sure that everybody knew that there was still money available. What I wanted to do this evening was, for the purpose of 2 new members to the council, give you an opportunity to ask questions over this little engineering report that I prepared last March, and kind of touch base if there was any questions relative to what I had recommended or some things that I saw. Basically, what I'd like to do is point out the way I reviewed what we had going at that point in time was wrapped up pretty much on, let's see, this exhibit. Have you had a chance to read any of this report? I brought copies down
I
here.
gave it to you. It was on my FYIs that I stuck in a package. Not this time, but it's been a couple months ago.
I got one of those here now, Gene.
I believe you have. I can leave this.
I found through them.
What I noted in reviewing the records that had been compiled at the plant was in 2011, the average flow that came into the plant was 165,000 gallons a day, which was about 75% of the design capacity of the plant. Then the next year, it was 2012, the average had gone up to 184,000 gallons a day, which is 83% of the design capacity. And then in 2013, which was the last full year of data that I had when I compiled and reviewed the data, the average was 199,000, which was 90% of the design capacity. Basically, what I had related was that if this trend continues, we're going to reach a point where what's coming down to the plant is going to be in excess of what it was designed to handle. I offered in the summary on page 5.1 some suggestions as to what might be done to enhance the reliability, and I think, Victor, have you had a chance to read
Yes.
this? And I think you've already started on some of those.
Yes, yep.
And they're not anything other than just items like have some transducer and dissolved solids, or dissolved oxygen sensors replaced, put a support bridge over the aeration bases, put a motorized operator on the effluent valve, cut an opening in the SRB walls, and plan on hopefully replacing the ultraviolet disinfection system. The other thing that I looked at was the likelihood of providing a surge basin in capacity greater than what you have right now. My understanding is in the last improvement program, where they put in a larger sludge digester. They changed what, the chamber, which was 24 to 24 to 16, over to a surge basis. In other words, they piped it such that if you get a flow greater than a certain amount, it will go partially to that chamber where you can hold it and then bring it into the system once the flow is down. It's not, in my opinion, it's only has about 69,000 gallons capacity. This will just give you a short, temporary bypass. And the other thing that I looked at was perhaps there might be some discussion about changing the mode of operation of that plant from a sequencing batch reactor over to extended aeration, but it would require the additional construction of 2 clarifiers, which, I figured probably 2 of them would run $125,000 to $130,000 to get them done. But I guess in a nutshell, what I saw was that the plant is approaching its hydraulic capacity. The trend of flow continues to what it has been in the last 3 years. We may see it subside, I don't know. There may have been some efforts made to reduce the amount of infiltration and inflow. Normally, you're probably not going to run over, 140,000 gallons a day without a period without any rainfall.
Correct.
Which is well below your design capacity. The problem you get into, as the way I see it, is if you have a period of rainfall, an extended period of rainfall, and the lift station pump, I believe, is capable of pumping 550 gallons a minute, which is close to 800,000 gallons a day. And if it starts running at that rate, that plant will not be able to attain the level of treatment that's necessary. And therein lies the problem. And what I recommended in part in here was to give consideration to building a larger surge basin on the north side of that road, to where when that flow gets to that level, you can shunt part of it up there and hold it. Various sizes. I had one figured out. If you had a 1 acre, 4 foot deep, you'd have 4 acre feet, which I think would be able to handle, what was it, close to 900,000 gallons, something like that. But I just kind of wanted to bring you up to speed on what I had learned in Columbia and see if you had any questions. I know you've had some discussions with the property holders down there where the outfall sewer terminates, and there has been some media coverage, I'll put it that way. But I think there's answers to a lot of the conditions that you're having to deal with right now. It's just whether or not, how you want to approach it. I want to take the opportunity while I was talking with Richard the other day, just to say, to the new council person. Do you have any questions?
There is grants available, though, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
What do we have to do to obtain them or apply for them?
You fill out the forms and wait your turn.
We got them right here on.
I think you have those forms down there, yeah. I probably have. But it's not, see, there are 2 agencies. One is the Department of Natural Resources, which has what they call an SRF program, the State Revolving Fund. And that program requires that you issue bonds or vote bonds. And then they group those bonds with bonds from a whole other conglomeration of cities and sell them. And they sell them at such a rate, and that rate is subsidized by the federal program. That your cost for the money is maybe 2%, 2.5%. But theirs is strictly a loan program. Rural development has both a loan and a grant program. They decide as to how much grant your community is eligible for, I'll put it that way. And a lot of it has to do with the, what they call the median family income of the community that's making the application. And it's not a procedure that you can just file an application and 2 weeks later you get a response. It's long and drawn out.
Do our sewer rates and things like that come into play?
Oh, yes, they will establish
Your rates?
under rates for you, I'm afraid.
And when we go into this, I assume we would need your engineering report and what we intend to do and what the intent is with it. Is your...
This report that we filed with the state was at their behest, and it was strictly a report that assessed the condition of the plant itself, rather narrow focus. So what do we need to do now and maybe a little later on to take care of the problem, keep the sludge from escaping again. They have a rather lengthy listing of things to address in a facilities plan report that they accept. And this report has been approved by the state, and you should have a letter in your file. I know I got a copy of it. You have a letter in the file and they say, this is approved. We encourage you to proceed with financing however way you want to approach it and stuff like that.
Would it be maybe wise on our part to maybe, and I know there would be additional expense involved in it, but to have a complete system analysis from where
It
it
would.
starts to the problem we have down here at the end
It
of
would.
the pipe?
Because what they're going to want to do, what they're wanting you to address is at what level is this infiltration and inflow impacting your wastewater plant? And can you do anything in that regard rather than trying to concentrate all your efforts onto plant modifications and improvements? Yes. And that's what they want to find out also. They want to address. So whoever does it, they need to look at the whole system.
Because if we're gonna jump off into this, I think over the past, it's been, we fix a certain area and then we have another area. If we're gonna do this and jump in, we need to make everyone happy from one end to the other. And the far end has been a problem for a long time. We need to address that.
You folks know the condition of your system better than I or any other engineer.
I wouldn't say that.
No, I'm sure, but I mean, the people that work here
Yeah.
really know where the problems lie. I give them the benefit.
I think in the last few
What
months,
is-
we've got a lot clearer view of what's going on with it.
Yeah, but what you need an engineer to do is to compile all this information in a systematic presentation so that the people up in Jeff City and Columbia can understand it.
Get a clear view of what
Get a
we're
clear
dealing
view of what
with.
you want to do and the practicality of it and how it is beneficial to the community and it's probably the least cost approach to solving the problem. That's what they want to see.
Let me see if I understand this right. Are you suggesting that possibly we make a change from the style of system we have to another, to make it more updated?
Okay, let me say this. What you have is a treatment plant that operates on what we call the sequencing batch reactor type mode, okay? I don't see, and I'm open for counter comment, I don't see much room up there to expand that plant. The only thing that I could look at was possibly making some modifications and pipe work up there and change over to what we call extended aeration. But it requires the addition of 2 clarifiers. The sequencing batch reactor type plant was created to eliminate the need for clarifiers. All the sedimentation, the aeration, the fill, the idle, that's all taken care of in one set of basins.
If we decide to approach funding as a council, shouldn't we be settled on what direction we want to go specifically?
Okay, the report the report is supposed to look at different solution alternatives, okay? In other words, one alternative is the status quo, leave it as it is. Well, that's not really acceptable, but it is an alternative. Another would be to change from a sequencing batch reactor to an extended aeration, alternate number 2. Another might be to purchase some property down the hill and put in an oxidation ditch type plant. Another might be to abandon this plant and move downstream. 3 or 4 different alternatives. The cost of each one of those is estimated and prepared, and then it's compared, and the one that gives you the optimal selection based on both operating cost and initial capital cost is generally the one that you select, or say this is the one we want. And that's the way it works. That's the way it works. I've got to go down to Wyandotte tomorrow morning. They have a treatment plant down there that we're going to have to enlarge. And I've looked at either adding another aeration basin and another clarifier, or adding an oxidation ditch and taking their existing aerator and changing it into a digester. 2 alternatives. And you make a comparison of the initial capital cost and the long-term operating cost, and come up with what you call the present worth, and that's the way you're going to try to make your selection.
Again, if I had any questions, it would be, if we was running with no rainwater, we would be running about normal. If we didn't have.
When you say normal?
Would we be able to operate?
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say
Yeah,
so?
we'd be within,
Yeah.
yeah.
But, and do engineers, do you ever have a company that comes in and finds out?
Yeah.
Jim and them looked into it.
Tipton, Missouri,
A lot of water, we don't know.
Joplin's doing it. In my opinion, the next phase in municipal wastewater work is going to be infiltration and flow abatement, because there's too many sewer systems that are old and leaky, and it's costing way too much to treat that clean water, because essentially it's clean. He'll see it turn just almost clear.
It's just rainwater getting in there.
It's just rainwater, yeah.
Well, gee, do we need an I&I study?
It would be a part of the engineering study that you would do. It would have to be addressed, and it should be. And there was a rule of thumb, they said, if the amount of flow is greater than a certain amount per population, and then once it gets above that point, they figured that it's economical to try to renovate the sewer, but as long as the flow is below that level, it's probably just economical to go ahead and treat it. And this is one of the things that your I&I study would try to establish for you. But it's, no, your question's
Well,
is right. If we didn't have to deal with the I&I, you probably could be just fine.
We could even cut half the water flowing in, we got, that would help.
That would help.
Get us down into the grade that we could survive. Once we got the clarifier.
But you'll spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Tipton, Missouri, we spent 2 years up there, spent $3 million lining their sewers, plus another $180,000 doing preliminary camera work and cleaning.
Was
But
that
it was getting bad.
a clay tile system?
It was clay tile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least we're PVC here. So,
And that's what surprises me, is why with PVC you're experiencing this level of I&I. I don't know.
Roll joints and
Yeah, collapse,
broken,
settlement.
cleanouts.
Yeah. The thing we found at Tipton was the clay pipe was still in pretty good shape. It was just that the joint material had deteriorated and gone, and it was just full of roots. And every time you had a root coming in, you'd have a little infiltration.
with the where we really haven't had a tremendous population increase, it's bound to be I&I, most of it.
Yeah, it is. It is. The patterns of flow that's recorded out there is indicative of the fact that it's I&I. One of the things that I mentioned in here was that you might give consideration, put a variable speed drive on that lift station down there so that you have a steady state flow coming in instead of this on-off business that you've got now. They're just things to do, things to look at.
Just a ballpark figure, any kind of an idea about how much money we're talking about? I'm sure it's gonna depend which way we go.
Well, yeah. When you say how much money we're talking about for what?
To get the plant up to,
Oh, well, okay. I figured in what I had here. If you were to put in another surge basin, I figured that'd be about $250,000. That may, I'm high on these, but I didn't want to be inappropriately low. If you put in 2 clarifiers, we're talking about, $130,000. So that's what, 250 and 130, 380. And then I think I had, let's look at it here a second.
What size was that surge basin you was talking about, at gallon-wise capacity?
I would think on the basis of about, what, 4 acre feet. If you had, see, I haven't got my calculator with me, I brought it and left it in the car. But if you had 4 acre feet, if you had an acre of area and you had a concrete wall around it with a membrane liner in it, where it didn't leak, and you could fill it 4 foot, I think it turned out that you could have close to 800,000 gallons. And then if you had your plant upgraded to 310,000 gallons, that means worst comes to worst, you'd shunt 500,000 gallons a day over into the thing, and hopefully you can take care of it in 2 days.
Because I got a manufacturer looking at what it would cost to add a third SBR.
Yeah.
To do that, and then along with that equalization or surge basin.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I look at, and I'm not going to, there are many ways to do it. Where you would put another surge base or another SBR, I don't know.
They were talking about taking out the backside of that, the old sludge or that surge tank that's there now.
24, yeah.
And then adding on to it.
Adding on it, yeah.
They
Well,
said they've done that before in other facilities.
that could be done. The problem I see with the SBR with just 2 chambers is that you can't take either one of them down to fix it.
It's tough. I've done it once, and it is not easy
And if you don't-
without equalization or something like virtual flow.
Right, you've got to have low flow in order to do
And
it.
right now, we need to take those basins out of service to work
Right.
on them.
I forgot, I think the one we designed for Coffeyville was a rather large plant. It was recommended by a company out of Kansas City that did the report that they build an SBR. I think we ended up with 4 basins out there, and they were something like 70 by 70. It was a big town, big plant. But your plant is 25 years old. It's, I'm trying to look for some. Oh, I figured that if you, I think, 30, 42, 43, 61, 61, 62, another 30, another $140,000 on that. That's a rough summation of what I saw that ought to be done immediately. I don't know how much were they talking about, you know?
I haven't received the quote yet, or an idea yet.
Yeah. What I looked at was the fact that with an extended aeration plant, if you get into a peak flow period, you can shut the air off and let your basins just
Yeah.
settle. And then if you've got clarifiers downstream of the basins, they act as kind of a safety chamber, so to speak. If you have any problem upstream, why the clarifiers are there to protect you. That's why I lean a little more toward that type of extended aeration. if there was a way to add 2 more chambers to the thing, that might be something you wanna do. And again, that's an alternative, you see. But there's 3 or 4 ways to skin the cat, so.
Well, I was just thinking, when you approach the funding,
Uh-huh.
correct me if I'm wrong, you have to have a precise plan.
Oh, you have to have a well laid out plan, yes, sir. Yeah, you have to look at it in detail. But otherwise, they're not going to, they will critique the report, and the engineer will respond to a mountain of questions from them. They really look at them tight and in detail. So you have to make sure that you're paying attention to everything that could go on.
Those figures there, that still doesn't even touch the I and I issue.
No, that's the problem with I&I. I don't know how many feet of sewer you've got.
Nah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
How much?
No, I'm not sure.
I'm not either, I don't even have that one either. Sure. We've been paying anything from $1 to $1.25 a foot to get it cleaned. Probably with the PVC pipe, you're not gonna have to do too much cleaning. But to line the sewers at Tipton, I think I paid $21 a foot, which was cheaper than replaced them. At Howard, Kansas, I had to pay $26 a foot. And at Odessa, Missouri, I think it was about $24 a foot. It depends upon the size of the road.
Did you ever sleeve any PVC?
Leave it?
Did you ever put,
Oh,
yeah, you done that too?
yeah. We even put sleeves in everything. We had a seminar yesterday about putting sleeves in water pipes. You can put a sleeve in just about any pipe you want. Be it a culvert, sewer line, storm sewer, whatever you want. They've got the techniques down now where you can put sleeves in just about any of them.
I want to show, I was going to give you a copy of this, Gene. This is what we talked about one time, about when it comes out of the sewer system down here, when you get your
Oh,
clarifiers
yeah,
in.
yeah.
And there's a clean out for this line, and that's the one that goes to Reboot Road. Quite a few clean outs there, I didn't realize that.
What's that?
There's quite a few clean outs there,
Yeah,
ever so many feet.
yeah.
So. if you
Yeah,
got-
one thing that I'll share with you, if you have a condition, where you've got heavy flow coming in all the time, and you don't have the aeration time in this type of plant, the dissolved pollution in the water, while the water may be clear, there's still what we call DOD, or putrescible elements in that clean water. That may be causing part of the problem down there, even though you're putting out clean water, you're not able to get it down to the level to where when it gets down there, it's still got stuff in it that'll deepen.
And we've been putting it there 25 years.
Yeah, I know,
Off
yeah,
and
I
on.
know.
Yeah.
The other bad thing about it is that little stream does not have anything but intermittent flow. And normally, most of the streams you discharge to have some amount of flow that keeps them diluted, and you don't have any problem with it. But I was looking at the report he had this evening, and you can push a 5.5 effluent out of that plant. It's doing real good, as long as they.
Usually pretty low, but there'll be times that stream or dry bed, won't flow for a
That's
year.
right, that's right. It's not flowing now.
Yeah,
No, it hasn't flowed for the last, 3 or 4 months.
correct.
And you don't have any dilution of, and that's what a lot of times they count on, some amount of dilution of the material that you put in the stream.
Well, at the time that was, I don't know if you know this question, but at the time that was discharged into that branch, was it more flow there at the time? Was it always?
No, it's
Same.
always been that way. There've been times when it'll flow for 3 months, and there'll be times it'll be down and not flow for 9 months.
3 years.
We've all seen it.
years,
Yeah, yeah.
3 years.
Yeah. Drought period, you're not gonna see any flowing at all. I understand that the reason that they put this length of discharge line in was the geology section, and Rolla had determined that that part of that stream was what they call a losing stream. And they couldn't discharge just at the base of the plant, just like you normally do. And they had to extend this outfall sewer far down and get out of this zone that they had classified as a losing stream. A losing stream is a stream where you put water in it and it goes down into the ground, it don't fall, it doesn't flow through. That's the reason they did it this way. But I think there's ways to take care of the problem down there that shouldn't be that great deal of a problem. But basically, I think you're at a time in your sewer system where it needs to be examined and looked at and decided, what do we need to do now to make sure that it's adequate for another 25 years. It's been a pretty good 25 years running, and we don't have too many problems. But everybody enjoys the benefits of sanitary sewers, and if you want to continue with it, we need to see what needs to be done with the system to where it's adequate for another 25 years. Any other questions?
I have a question I'd like
We
to
really
ask.
appreciate you coming, I
Could-
think it's
I'd like to ask
Hey,
Mr.
man,
Spears,
what are you doing?
long time no see.
Yeah.
From a design perspective, you seem to be indicating that there could be something done to where the outfall is to get it on beyond their property or down closer to something that does flow. That being said, if we're looking at taking a total study from the most uphill portion of our system to the most downhill portion, could that be wrapped up into that
Oh, yeah.
if we're seeking
Yeah,
funding?
yeah. It would be one of the things that would need to be addressed.
Okay, that might be a way to solve that issue for them.
But the thing I want to say, though, is that given the, I don't want to say it, the notoriety that you've enjoyed in the last newspaper article, you may want to give some thought about handling that thing down there fairly soon.
That's true. We got two people here that knows it better than anybody else, Gary and Gary.
I know. I'm just saying.
Well, how's the, I guess probably the question is, obviously there's no one here that's an engineer. How would you recommend we approach this? Do we, whether it be you or someone else, an engineering firm, just, as far as the paperwork, the grant and all that stuff, obviously, you guys, that's what you do.
Yeah.
We just get someone on board and.
Yeah, you need to get someone on board. Let me back up and just say that one of the things that these rural development and the others are leaning toward now is what you call qualification based selection. So probably you would want to ask maybe 2 or 3 engineering firms to give you a statement of qualifications to prepare a wastewater facilities plan. You can interview them as you wish, you can ask for questionnaires, whatever way you want to make a judgment of their qualification, then you select who you want.
Well, like
Yeah.
I say, I think that the
That's
problem
the
in the
first
past
thing you
is
need
we
to
will,
do.
not so much we, but everyone's kind of went off half-cocked and not known which way to go and who to, turn to on these issues.
Yeah.
We want to fix it, but, none of us can sit here and say, oh, hell, I know what to do, so.
The thing you want to do is to get a complete system-wide engineering analysis and a facility plan, a plan for the facility. And it's not inexpensive. I have to spend time, or whoever you get has to spend time on it. They just have to spend time on it.
You're half retired, though, you ain't got much more to do, do you?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Can't we just all get along? Help us out, come on.
It's great, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, as long as I'm working for them, I gotta work for them.
And how much more is this, you talked about, stuff like
analysis, how much more is that compiled than what you had given us?
Oh, considerable.
Considering
Yeah. You have to divide it up into two elements. One, the sewer system itself and the I&I review, and then the treatment plant itself. You have to go into a study of, I mean, what's the likelihood of this town growing in population and at what rate? Okay, who makes that decision? What happens? It's a guess, really, but you have to address it. What about the economic factors? How much is it gonna cost to operate any plant? What's the rate gonna be? And the other thing is do we have any indication as to what new regulations are gonna come out? So your operating permit's up, what, next year?
2016 on this
Yeah,
one.
2016, so whether or not you have to limit your phosphate. Right now, you're limiting ammonia.
Ammonia, and I think that there were some more strict guidelines getting ready to come out.
Yeah. So you have to address those things. So there's a lot of different aspects that you have to address. To really make it thorough, such that they're satisfied that you've looked at it close enough that when you use their money, quote unquote, their money, it'll be well spent, well used. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for.
Any more questions, guys? You probably wanna go home. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for it.
I'll try to talk to you later about that outflow part.
Yeah, whatever.
I've been trying to get something done a long time, and probably was kicking a dead horse and all that stuff, but I wanted to know approximately what it's gonna cost, just to get some work done down there at the store, as such as just getting Gary and Garrett to make sure what they had contact with the other was, if it was good, or they have to sign a new easement, and the neighbor boy, I call him a real nice guy, he'll want to know, and he'll want the easement, he's glad to sign the easement.
Anybody's land you cross, you're gonna have to have an easement.
Huh?
I say anyone's
Right,
land.
right,
you cross,
I've been trying to get this since I've been in office, Gene, and I know it's ahead of the game, but if it's done, when we get started something, we can go ahead and do
Yeah.
it.
Have you had any detailed conversations with the people in Springfield with DNR?
Tried to, Gene, I think I got more out of you than I did them, because I didn't understand it.
The best thing to do is to get one of those guys down here with you fellas
Perkins or somebody
and
like
an
that.
engineer.
And
Greg
engineer.
Perkins, I know Greg, I've known him for the last 40 years.
Yeah,
And sit down and say, look, this is what we want to do.
yeah,
Now, what's your opinion of this?
yeah.
Will you go along with us? Because we don't want, we're not gonna make it long and drawn out, but we're gonna change the outfall point. And that's really the kicker.
Yeah.
You're changing the outfall point.
And like you told me, it ain't no big deal. I think
It's
you told me
not.
that.
It's
Perkins
not.
told me that too.
Yeah.
You just gotta get in it, get the right papers made out, and get your
Yeah.
easements and stuff. And that's with an engineer and with DNR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds easy, but we're still dragging our foot, so
Well,
we appreciate you trying to help us get it off the floor.
okay. Anytime you got any questions, holler at me.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you. You bet.
There's a guy my age still doing a lot of work. Well, I guess, we're gonna go into closed session, we're gonna make a motion for that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to go into closed session
Okay.
in accordance with RSMO 610.021, 3, referencing hiring, firing, and disciplining personnel.
Okay, got a second on that? All right.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Travis Campbell?
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Myron?
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's had a lot of bad luck with his family, his wife especially. So, we made a decision to go ahead and pay him for last month, even though he may not work. We're not gonna ask that, I guess. Because from then on, he'll be on unpaid leave, and he's gonna contact us by the 1st of February.
First of
Yeah,
February.
1st of February, and let us know how his life is about what's going on. So we won't be getting paid after this first payment. He knows that, and he's told us, told different people that he don't know yet, he might have to resign or something. So that's helping him up, and hoping that his family gets better, but it ain't been good. Now, we don't have no answers for anything else we discussed, because we didn't really declare anything. So we're gonna get back to, we go right straight down, old business, we're dealing with. The old business is, the ordinance we had a reading on, 781, 2% sewer rate increase, second reading. And, can I read them all? I guess.
So I need to read it.
Huh?
I need to read
You
this
do?
ordinance.
Okay, good, let's go.
Bill number 781, an ordinance to amend section 720.040, paragraph C, chapter 720, sewer users charge of the municipal code of the city of Granby. Be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Granby as follows. Section 1, that section C is hereby repealed in its entirety, and a new section C is hereby enacted in its place to read as follows. Section 720.040, user charge rates. C, the minimum charge per month for the collection and treatment of the sewage shall be $20.40 for the first 1,000 gallons for residential contributors and $20.40 for the first 1,000 gallons of non-residential contributors. In addition, each contributor shall pay a user charge at a rate of $2.27 per 1,000 gallons of water, wastewater, above the minimum as determined in the preceding section. This sewer rate shall be in effect for January 2015 billing. This ordinance shall be take effect and be in full force at its date of passage. This is the second reading.
Okay,
So we need to have a motion.
let's have a motion to get all that done, approved, or
Now
whatever.
make a motion to go ahead and approve ordinance 781 on the 2% sewer rate increase in the second reading.
I had something just to kind of add on that. I've just kind of recently, I've gotten some information from Paula as far as, our operating expenses, our,
Do we have seconds? It's good darn.
well, I'd rather, the 2%'s not gonna really even be able to cover our reserve, getting our reserve going back again. Our repair replacement fund hasn't been being funded. We just don't have the money to operate right now. 2% will net us about $314 on the base a month. And that's just not enough to really do anything with. If we'd been doing this all along for the last 10 years, it would definitely be helping. But right now, just to get our repair and replacement going back again, and our reserves, where we're funding that every month, will, on the base would require about a 12% increase. And then for the 1,000 gallons after first 1,000, needs to be probably brought up to around $3.75 per 1,000. And I've kind of looked at some other cities' rates around in the area. That's pretty close to where they're at also. But, this is something that, instead of doing the 2%, we really maybe need to sit down and work through this formula, and look at our true operating expenses, what our debt payment is, and try to get this repair and replacement fund going, because, we're talking with Paula, we're not gonna have enough money to pay for, some of our pumps and things that are getting ready to come back.
So that might have been something we could have done after these initial expenses are covered first. The reserves are put back.
We need to make sure that we've got enough, because the covenant, or I guess it's an ordinance, states that we need to be putting that in to reserve, so much a month. I think one of the
We were
payments is,
supposed to be, we were putting the replacement depreciation in there, but we kept having to buy a motor that went out or whatever, so that got
It's just been
away.
depleted,
Yes.
and there's not enough money coming in from the sewer rates to cover.
correct.
So what Victor is saying makes a lot of sense.
And we're, we know that, a pump's gonna fail, it only has a certain life, and that's called a sinking fund or a replacement fund. And, you know, we've got formulas to how to figure that, you know, just like replacing tires on a vehicle or whatever. We've got to save so much money every month and put that aside, because we know that pump's gonna fail. You know, we know this motor's gonna give out, and we need to try to keep that money going, you know, so we can start replacing those instead of hitting these reserves, which, you know, there's no reserve left. So,
Victor, I
yes.
want to ask something. Are you saying that the CDs that we've always had in the past and replacement and everything is depleted?
I guess, I'm not for sure. Is it all the way out,
We
or
don't have any CDs except for the reserve.
that's mandated
There
for the
used to
bond?
be.
Well, I get they've been, you know, used up for
Well, I'm not.
repairs, so that's
The
where it's
last
important.
4 years,
Yeah.
I guess they depleted it.
That's where it's important. Every year, we gotta look at our rates and go, okay, you know, our operating expenses have gone up this year, or, you know, like our base rate for our 1,000 gallons after our first 1,000, it hasn't changed since 2005. So it's remained the same. And we can't keep working like that. You know, we've gotta increase it.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Victor, in that respect. You know, we, obviously, we have to generate enough income to make all the necessary repairs and future repairs.
Correct.
And I think what we've done, we've probably enjoyed a moderate sewer rate. And I agree with everybody else. I enjoy the moderate sewer rate. But we gotta pay our way.
Exactly, that's what.
And I was in the same way, and now we're on sewer right here, but it's the same way with gas. I think gas gonna have to be the same situation. I
And
think we're
water.
gonna end up and water, but I think we're gonna have to end up with a rate that is probably adjusted quarterly on that gas that is so much above what we pay for it. And you can adjust that quarterly. But right now, we're on the sewer, and I think maybe we ought to make an adjustment to the motion, Bill, to maybe look at a proposal
I
that
just-
Victor has.
I agree with that. I just know that when I first brought up the deal about 2%, hell, we was ready, they was about ready for a lynching.
Oh,
Now you're talking about 12% or more now?
But what we can
You're
do
doing
is.
the talking.
No, I know, but what I would like to do, instead of me just sitting down doing it, you sit down as a group, because you
Yeah.
guys are the deciders here. You know, we sit down, you look at the numbers and go, oh, yeah, this don't
But we
work.
have to be able to pay our way.
Exactly, because we've gone a lot of years, people not, you know, now it's our kids or grandkids are gonna pay for it now. And, you know, I just,
Item number 6 on the agenda is to set for a budget meeting. Wouldn't that fall under the category of a budget meeting?
sounds good.
Like on our water study, he said we would need a 227% increase to meet the stuff that needs to be done. I'm gonna let Victor say that out loud too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't wanna kill the 2%, but
No,
I
that's
just-
fine. I just know how what was in the making when I first brought it up.
And it just, you know, I feel for Paula, because I know she's not gonna be able to pay the bills probably next month. Just looking at it myself too.
Now, what do you think I'm gonna get?
It can go with like, whatever, like, would you say a market increase? You know, I mean, it'd be hard for us to say, do a 5% increase and the market jump 10%.
Yes.
Well, there should be a price that we lock in over a period of time.
Yes.
And I think that price, plus what your operating cost is and immediate repairs or whatever the repairs,
Yeah.
there should be a price factored in there, whether it's $1, $2, $3, $4, whatever that number is. That can be adjusted on a monthly or a quarterly basis.
But the thing about it is, we can't, like Victor said, and in all areas of this, we can't keep just trading money. And we can't say, well, we're doing okay, just because we're paying our bills. If we can't be putting back for a rainy day to make repairs, then we're never gonna get hit.
You're defeating the purpose.
Well, yeah, and no one likes to hear a rate increase, but I think that we need to, and I said this before we passed the last budget, these budgets, I mean, we're gonna have to amend it. And granted, there are always unforeseen deals, but these budgets, the last couple of years, they're not even realistic. They're not even realistic.
We probably should go ahead and table these ordinances here until we have a budget meeting.
Yeah. And I think that the smart way to look at these budgets and a budget meeting is to look at the last 5 years' budget, and I don't care about what was proposed. I want to see what the final amendment was. And, I mean, the law of average does not lie. There's an increase in everything, and the budget we passed this year was less than last. And I've preached about this since the day it was passed. We just spend what we spent last year. It's out of the ballpark. It's not even, I mean, I don't think that there's enough consideration, and it's not being looked at realistically by any means. It's numbers on paper. And then we hope to hell that it works out in the end, and it's caving in on us all at once. We've got sewer problems, we've got gas issues, we've got, I mean, the writing's on the wall.
Well, it's our responsibility as a council to keep the city solvent.
Yeah, but we can't just sit here and say, well, we're gonna work on that. And, I mean, we're gonna have to, if we don't know, then possibly we should seek counsel on this with someone who's a specialist on it and can tell us, because we're playing Russian roulette with 5 in the chamber.
Well, I think tonight I would make a motion that we table ordinance 781, 782, and 783 until the budget meeting, because they will, until after we've had a chance to look at it to a budget meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? 3-0? Okay. We're down here to ordinance. Okay, I guess we're completed with that, right, Paul?
784.
Yeah, 784, MoNOT agreement for sidewalk call.
Yes, and we had that posted, put it in the paper, as a notice that it was, displayed at City Hall, so we can read just, the description. Bill number 784, an ordinance authorizing and providing a cost apportionment agreement between the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission herein after commission and the city of Granby, Missouri herein after an entity be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Granby to enter into the attached agreement, which was the contract that they had sent.
That's a $20,000 deal.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. We didn't ever approve that yet.
No, because we need to make a motion.
Yeah.
Where's that money gonna come from?
Street.
Do we realistically have it, or is this another,
This was,
I hope
we
we've
talked-
got it?
We should have it, we didn't have any street work this year.
we have,
Is this something that looks like we need to do?
Well, it's a chance to do it and save money.
I see.
The way they want to do it, either they're doing 60 highway from, I think from state line to the
past Springfield.
county line or up and through there, and they're gonna do, they're kind of bunching it in, so one contractor, and it's gonna save money by having him do the sidewalk works and stuff. And with it's more for handicap accessible, is what it's gonna amount to.
3 corners, right?
Yeah.
When's this gonna be paid?
I asked them about, I called them.
They haven't asked for anything yet, because we have to pay, we have to pass this.
I don't think they'll
Probably
even
won't
get
be
it.
until after the first year, like maybe next summer is what we're looking at.
Way I understood they hadn't even bid it yet. And they were just kind of that 20,000 is just a tall figure.
Yeah, but they had to put that out there.
Yeah, they had to have
I
a
called them
figure.
about it. They said, that, well, you either go to 20,000, or if you think it might cost less, you could actually maybe ask for that. But if it don't cost less and it costs more, you'll end up paying more than 20,000.
So it was a tall figure. But they kind of said that would be the ceiling.
But you don't wanna gamble with the city's money. So that's what I thought, and that's what I told them. I think most of them already, that the 20,000 is what I would think would be. because if you don't go that, you may have to pay $25,000. I mean, everything you walk on costs a lot of money nowadays, especially a highway.
Well, if they run this new paving, 60, like what you're saying, and we don't do this, what's our end of our streets there? What do they look like? Our sidewalks? Is it just drop off?
Probably so, and I think you've got to do it.
For handicap purposes,
That's legal.
it just needs to be done.
Yeah.
How many spots are we talking about over here on both sides of South Main?
60, and
Yeah.
north and south on the west side, and then over there on the corner by, excuse me, by Fast Trip, on that corner there, it's gonna be changed where you can come off, where they can come off of there.
And then down at JJ's and here?
Well, that's not in that.
That's a
big
different thing.
I think those two are, when I understood, kind of solely up to us to get in, if they want it engineered, we can't go in there, so take measure down and say, let's put it here.
I talked to the girl about that busted up curb up there by Fast Trail, up about 60 feet, you know where it's at, this side of Linda's. She said, yeah, we'll probably take care of that, so I'll put that down. She took a picture of it. So, it's gotta be fixed, you know, by somebody, I don't know if it's gotta be the city or not. But, anyway, I guess we need to get a motion on, whatever, or whatever. $20,000 out of the street fund.
Excuse me. Now, in order for like a private contractor or somebody to go in there and do that themselves, they have to get permits from MoDOT also,
Right.
wouldn't they? Yeah, so it's,
It might even happen, you know, it may be a private contractor. I don't know, state don't do a whole lot.
No, they're looking at, to be private contractors.
Yeah, oh, that's
But
what-
the person doing the bidding and getting the contract will be for the whole job, every sidewalk through the,
Yeah, some big.
through the whole job, so.
we'll already have the permit. And
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Like I make a motion to accept ordinance 784, the MoDOT agreement for the sidewalk costs, as stated.
And actually, the little card that's up there that Melinda always reads, I think it's one in front of you.
I don't have one over here, I'm not supposed to read those things.
There's one in front of
Here, let me,
Here, I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I move to accept bill number 784 on the first reading, suspend the rules and place bill 784 on the second and final reading by title and number only.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Okay, here a second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? 3-0.
Bill number 784, an ordinance authorizing and providing a cost apportionment agreement between the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission and after commission in the city of Granby, Missouri, and after entity, be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen in the city of Granby to enter in this attached agreement.
Okay, that all?
And then I need a motion.
Need a motion for that? Okay. Hear a motion on that, Bill, or do you understand?
I make a motion to accept ordinance 784, the MoDOT agreement for sidewalk costs. On the second and final reading.
Hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? 3-0 again. Okay, we done with that?
Both of those. Both of those need to be signed on the, that needs signed, please.
Get that out of the way. Come out like I said. That man over there, running on that creek. See, that's not his fight. We'll have to see. Help on how that, I'm not sure we can dig him out. see what,
Okay, next one on the agenda, number 5, city collector and part-time office clerk raises. That'd be Sharon Stevens, she's a collector here in Granby, here in Granby. And she couldn't be here tonight, but we need to make a decision, and I think tonight, because the 16th of December, people will be signing up for re-election or election. 16th, so quick, 16th this month. Well, I think we need to decide that we want to give her a raise. It's been kind of misunderstood when she could,
What you making right now?
22 maybe?
22.
Yeah,
Going to.
22, yeah. Okay,
you probably know Richard Word is not giving her a raise, but giving a position a raise.
Yes, it's the city collector array.
yeah, that's clarified. Anyway, she is below, she's below everybody else in her, in full-time,
Let me
part-time.
ask a question here before we go on. Whenever you apply for the city collector responsibilities, is that a 2-year responsibility?
Yes.
Yes.
And at the time that you apply, you also are familiar with what your pay is going to be when you sign up. And anybody that would apply for the job the same way. You know what
They file
it is
for the
going
election.
into the, it's not like you can go in and then feel like you could do a better job and get an increase. It just is what you sign up for when you.
When you file for the election.
Yeah.
So the question here to us, I believe, is taking personalities out of it. We all like Sharon and what she does. But does that responsibility require more money for anybody that would be the collector? That's our question here. Does it need to be 22, or does it need to be 24,000 or whatever?
However, this person has to be bondable too. They
Yeah.
have to be able to be bondable.
And that's in the
In their ordinance,
ordinance and in also when they sign up.
yes.
They know what needs to be done.
Yeah, the law we're going by, or we've had to go by, I think Sharon will agree with it. I mean, if we don't sign her up now, or give her anything or nothing, whatever you guys voted in, she can't get it in election. It's gotta be before election, so if somebody wants to run against her, they're able to do it.
Right, and I guess my question is that we are just taking personalities out of it, we are giving a salary increase to the position.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it won't start until, if she gets reelected. That's when it starts, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it's gonna start whoever.
And that's right, that's the law, and that's what she went by, and she is satisfied, somewhere or another, everybody was giving other people raises. We just didn't get her in the picture because hers is a short time. She can't get it after April, if she's
No.
in, she can never get it.
But I don't know
She's
how
not
this
had a
ever.
raise since 2008.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm taking
I
that.
agree with that, John, but you understand what I'm saying?
It's a
when she-
position.
Yeah,
Right.
and when she applies, she knows what it's gonna be for that year, for that term.
Mhm.
Well, April.
I mean, I'm okay with increasing the salary in that position.
Somebody, okay. Hey,
Okay, you've been discussing the money matters of the city and taking personalities. I mean, I like Sharon, known her for years. Can the city afford these raises?
Well, that's
I
the
mean,
question at hand.
y'all, we can't afford this, we can't afford that, we can't afford this, but the raises always keep coming. That's, I mean, I'm not knocking anybody getting more money.
well, her problem is she ain't never got no more.
Well, yeah, some of them shouldn't have.
That's
Everybody
right.
else gets the raises and Sharon don't, see, I mean,
That's
so that wouldn't be fair.
When it comes to city personnel, you gotta look at a couple of situations here. You gotta look at not only what the person, you feel like that they deserve or need, what have you like that, but also a level of pay would draw in certain groups of people. In other words, lower the pay, and you might not. So a city has to look at those things as they apply a pay scale.
Well, she hadn't had a raise since, what'd you say?
2008?
2002.
Well, I guess,
And we just got it kind of mixed up, while we giving other people raises. In our term here, we give everybody raises except the collector. And, the part-time help I was gonna ask for a little, she worked 24 hours a week? No, 28 hours a week. And I was just gonna ask the council, what do they wanna give her? She makes $8 an hour. You know, but this is after, okay? Okay, now we wanna see if we can't get the city collector a decent raise, and it still won't bring her up to the rest of the full-time help in City Hall. That's probably good, they like that part. But it'll give her a decent raise, along with the other groups.
my
We've all
question,
had one this year, so we gave it to them now.
my question is, where's the money gonna come from?
Well, it's gonna be coming before April, you'll have to help us fix the budget.
Does the collector come right out of the general account, or does it
Comes
come
out
out
of general, sewer, sanitation.
All the accounts.
All the accounts.
Just like the rest of them.
Well, there's about 3 of those accounts, I think, right now, kind of started.
Yeah.
What if we take and table both of these until after we have this budget meeting and all, and see exactly where we're at?
I think your problem with that is the first day of the elections is just a.
That could be, but guys, there could be a problem with that. I can't interpret the law.
Filing starts next Tuesday.
Tuesday, say the 16th, okay? You legally have to be before the 16th, so if somebody joins up that day,
That's right. Then they know
wants
what's
to
going
run for office, they got to know that
Yeah.
that's there. And if they don't know it's there, that's the only, we can't give her a raise, she's out the door. You know, no one, so I'm just asking you guys, council tonight, to consider giving our collector, how many years she got? More than anybody else in the same job?
No, but we go to that personalities of it. It's the.
I'm talking about how many years she been there, Trevor. You know, and it got to be a mix-up because we didn't know when to actually, we could give her a raise. I was trying to give her a raise quite a while ago, and we couldn't do it because of the law. It has to be any time, and everybody wanted to count it, but now we're up to the deadline. So we want to give her a raise, I think, you see, the 16th, we wouldn't have a meeting till the 23rd.
Well, tell me where we're gonna get the money at, and that'll help get me on.
Okay, we're gonna set a budget, when you guys decide to do it.
Well, I know, but
It'll be April, May, and June. That will be the raise
Yeah.
I
for
think,
those 3 months.
I think the point that's getting lost here is, and I hate to get this far down the road, but, you know, the city, we only can take in so much money, and we're spending a hell of a lot more than we're bringing in. And I've been against several raises and been looked at like I was the most evil person on the face of the earth. And that's, you know, we can either give raises or we can make the sewer work, and we can make the water work, and we can make the gas work. There gets to be a point in time where it's great and it makes friends and all that, but fundamentally, what are we willing to?
Well, I think though that probably you need to look at the personnel as part of the system.
Well, I agree.
And what makes it work, whether it's like fixing a pump or whatever the case would be, you look at personnel of moving, you know, in that bigger picture.
But at the end of the road, if the money isn't there, it ain't there. I mean, it's just that simple. That's, I mean, maybe I'm saying something, maybe I'm just being a pessimist, but. I mean,
Well, we did it all before, Travis, that's all.
Well, and by God, I don't think we should. I mean, that's been the whole deal here. We keep digging ourselves deeper and deeper in the hole, and we keep finding out we owe this and we owe that.
You're probably right, but we did it already, and that was on the roll watch.
I wonder what,
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Diamond and other ones,
They have treasurers, they don't have city collectors.
CPA does this one.
Yeah, the lady from the state, she said she was gonna fax us, did you get any paper, a fax or a letter?
About,
The wages, the average wages in this area
for city
for
collectors.
city collector,
There's not,
on a
there's
population.
no city collectors, they're treasurers is what they're
We had
called.
Yeah, something like that.
we had a
Yeah,
wage
that's so much
analysis
larger.
not that
Right.
long ago, I
It's
don't know if
county.
anybody read it or
Yeah.
not,
County have collectors,
but we did
cities
have
don't.
a wage analysis.
Well, all we're asking for, Travis, I mean, that's what I'm asking for, I know it's what you want, and I know what I think's fair about it. It's over the
Well,
average, like we did this on
But is
other
it-
people, on
if-
average.
If,
A treasurer and a collector
if,
about the
if
same?
we have
Is
any
the
kind
title
of
difference?
a,
Yes, but some of the
machine
treasurers.
breakdown is major, $10,000, $12,000, or whatever it would be. You have to pay for it, no matter how you figure it out, even if you have, no matter what means you have to pay for it, because you have to keep the plant moving. My point here, what I think is personnel's part of what keeps your, city moving.
Yeah, she does a great job, guys. I see her the other day, I think she's pretty consistent, she's very nice. She really got her part doing it well.
We may have to, as a council, we may have to streamline other areas in budget to make sure that works.
There you go, there you go, that's your answer, Travis. I can't think too fast, but Laura usually does. If we can give her a raise, and they've already got it, and the rest of them we didn't get, they got, you guys gave it.
Because I think we've got a streamlined budget and to a certain extent to accommodate the other things we've done personnel-wise.
Yeah.
That's with the retirement program, and that's with the other increases. You had to figure out a way to streamline our own budget.
I wish we had it.
And then generally, we can always, as a council, look to ways to bring in more income as you increase the quality of town and such.
Well, we have to raise our different utilities, like they said already, because we're behind. But I'm only talking for Sharon.
The
I
raise-
shouldn't be saying that. I'm talking for the collector of only $1 an hour. See, she's on salary.
Well,
Let me finish. She's on a salary, like now, I think 22,000. Okay, I'm only talking $1 an hour, which approximately is $2,000. So we'll get her up close to what the other girls are doing. I don't think it's as much, but it's close. And I'm just asking $1 an hour, $2,000.
So it's be raised from 22 to 24.
And they don't come in until April. Yeah.
This is one of those situations, folks, regardless how you vote, you're a jerk, regardless what you do. But we need to realize something. This town is broke. Isn't it time to put a freeze on raises? Isn't it time?
We can do it, Pat, we can do it, but after this one, because everybody else is.
There's always gonna be another, Richard.
No, there's
There's always gonna be another.
It's not for
Can't you freeze till we get back in financial standings as good? We're broke, folks.
Yeah,
Whether you wanna admit it or not, this town's broke.
yeah.
We
Well,
can't fix the sewer.
It wouldn't be fair, I don't think, and we'll have to leave it up to the vote.
Well, let me ask this.
We need to do it tonight, guys.
Let me ask this. Tell me, give me, any of you, give me one place, off the top of your head, we can streamline our budget. One place.
Well, you have to look at it as a whole, because you're talking about if you increase it $2,000, you spread that over a 12-month period, it's not a lot of money
That's right.
over that length of time. So,
Well, I just, like I say, it's awful hard to sit here and, for me, and like I say, he made an interesting point, any way you go at this, you're pretty much a jackass. But it's awful hard to sit here and say, okay, we're gonna give you raises, and then we're gonna raise your utilities. We don't have the money, but we're gonna, and I realize that we need good people. But also, something that has, I've remembered from years gone by, what is, that being an elected position, is there a, and you might be able to help me on this, John, is there a set in stone hours you're supposed to be here and,
35 hours is what City Hall gets paid, supposed to get paid for.
But the
because they only
day,
work 7 hours a day.
yeah, but I mean, that is for the collector, because in the days of old, the collector wasn't even in City Hall. I mean,
That's
I
what it
didn't
is.
realize that there was a set hours that she had to be here, because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as her position. Now, she's really not supposed to be handling, taking utility bills or any of that stuff, really, is she? That's not what she's elected to do, is it?
Yeah, taxes and utilities.
So,
Collector of the funds.
so should she, okay, then in reality, she's the only one that should be handling that. Correct?
Yeah. It's not ever happened like that in the past,
But,
because you get 5, 6 people up there at the counter. I mean, you know, one can't carry it.
well, but I mean, if we're gonna go with, you know what, where I'm at with this?
Yes,
Because,
If we give her a raise, then she's the only one that's gonna be collecting the money at all.
well, I mean, if it's an elected office, it's,
no.
We ain't gonna change nothing.
well, I'm not saying we're changing anything, but have we been doing it right? That's my
believe she
point.
would,
If that is her job, it's her job to take the tax money, okay?
I could be
Yes.
doing that job with her. I'm not going to, but I could be. I just tease the girls around. I could be doing it.
If you're bonded,
Yeah, if you're
and the
bonded.
girls are all bonded,
Yeah, yeah. that's what
city
I'm trying to
collector
get
is
to.
bonded higher than the
Thank you,
mayor.
Joanne, thank you.
Well, I'm just, I mean,
So why don't we,
No
The
one's-
others are
no
on
one's
what they
getting my
call a
point here.
blanket bond.
I don't guess.
everybody's got their point across, I hope, and I don't see nothing wrong with it. Go ahead and cut on to this. And, get somebody to make a motion to give, the city collector, Karen Stevens, which won't, no, I shouldn't say that, I keep saying her name, that's not true. This money won't come in until after election. It'll be April.
And it'll be whoever's elected.
That's right.
Elected.
That gives us freedom for everybody else who wants to challenge her, they can.
Well, should that be an elected position?
You know, it don't have to be for the state deal, but it is. You're right.
It is.
Don't we have to take it before the vote of people in order to take that away, because that
Yeah,
is-
yeah, I
It
think
has to
so,
be an
yeah.
election,
Yeah, but the
yes.
state level told me that, yeah, only way you could get around giving her a raise now, you know, we talked about maybe we could go ahead and give her a raise right now. Well, that's what the state said, no, you gotta do it before you sign up, they start signing up, so they got a chance. With Mrs. Stevens.
But what was the reason we made that elected, that was an elected position? Has
It
it
has
always
always-
been in Granby?
It has always
I think
been.
so.
Position?
All these elected.
Yeah. And so,
By ordinance, and the only way you can change it is if you put it on the, ballot.
Ballot, yes.
If you give her a $2,000 raise, that's for 2 years, whoever gets the position, that's $83 a month
Not very many.
increase. 83.3333.
well, every year, that's what we're saying, $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
A year, okay.
A year, that's $1 an hour, the way I'm kind of hillbilly mathematics, I'm saying,
Yeah,
about $1 an hour,
166
so it's 1,900 and something hours, rounded off, you've got $2,000. And I want somebody to make a motion to do that, or Bill, or Travis. We got to give her a raise, and it's got to be before the 16th. If we have to, if we want to do it.
I make a motion to increase the salary of the collector $2,000, starting this election, this next election cycle.
For a total of 44,000 annually, right?
24.
No,
Yeah.
2,000 is $2,000 annual.
$2,000 annually, yeah. That makes you
An
24,000.
increase?
That's still less than some others.
Maybe 24.
So, okay, you got a second?
I'll second.
We got a second, all those in favor? We got two, and Travis, you ain't got your hand up. Two of them, okay, all those negative, against it? You wanna do, okay, Travis is against it, and 2 others for it, and it passed. Okay, how about the little girl here, what is she, often, she runs around, she takes copies for them. They don't have to get up, she does a lot of running, but she makes $8 an hour. She's the only one in the whole city right now that hadn't had any raise at all.
Okay, she came on staff somewhere since I've been on the election.
I think so.
And what was the reason that she came on staff? Was that an added position, or did
Just
we
to-
have, has it
just-
always been an extra hand?
just to kind of take the overflow off around the 15th of the month, help us stuff bills.
Just love
Have we always had that
She
extra
doesn't want a
person in
raise,
the
I'll tell
office?
you that right.
No, we have not.
Well, I look at her and I like her. She does a good job on what she does. She don't do all the job. That's what Paula's saying. But she helps them do a lot of the work that needs to be done. It takes time. Nothing but
But what they're saying, Paul, you just said she doesn't want a raise?
No.
Well, I talked to her, Paula, and she does, but why, I'm just saying 50 cents an hour. A little girl works hard. It's 28 hours a week. The only reason it's 28 hours a week, for one reason, she's a sewer crossing, and she gets a little money from the school, and then she gets a little money from the city. Did you know
She's
that?
part-time help,
Huh?
and that's the reason why the city keeps from having to pay health insurance on her. Anything under $30, 30 hours a week.
Oh, and does that benefit to us?
It sure is,
Yeah.
because you have other help.
Okay, we're not having to pay no insurance.
What
That's
did
more
we-
reason to give a little girl 50 cents.
What did we do before she came? What was the process? What was the procedure?
My memory of the conversation that took place when we made the decision to hire her on was we were getting results back from our annual audit that things were not getting done the way they needed to be done. The general idea was that the city clerk was overloaded and the workload was enormous, and I understand that. So the reason why we decided to bring on part-time help was to alleviate that from her, to be an office assistant, someone that could take some of that pressure off of her. That was the general idea as I understand it when I was on council.
Well, thank you.
So
It's not what I see myself, I see it every day. And Kayla and Paula both, they use her, she's kind of a roustabout, but I can't see nothing wrong with giving a girl 50 cents, guys. If anybody disapprove of giving that little girl 50 cents, these are the ones got to decide, but I would like to give her 50 cents an hour, and sure we care, because everybody else we gave them a raise. They work here $14 a week.
Yeah, but my question here is whether we need that position at all.
Oh,
That's what I'm asking.
I could probably cut her hours back.
Yeah.
I could probably cut her hours back.
She could do something like that, but they need her. I've been here. I've been here.
When it was advertised in the paper, it wasn't advertised for 28 hours a week, because I was going to apply for it. And it was only going to be like 10 days out of the month.
Well,
That's
right now
what
it's
was
on
advertised.
28 hours, so there's 7 times 28. Right? So that's under the requirement. I guess the little girl don't have insurance. She ain't no little girl, she's probably 35, 40 years old, we've got 2 young kids at home and a 19-year-old son.
Basically, she's trying to have full-time work on a job that's only part-time.
Well, she's got the school call thing and.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
and she has another job.
She has a nighttime job.
Yeah, she's got a job.
And a husband that works.
And her husband got a good job with us. So we're gonna leave her out and everybody else in, 50 cents I'm asking for. This is like an auction.
Where's it coming from? Where's it gonna come from?
50 cents, well, I don't know.
Like you asked about
We can't handle that, we better close up the door.
The only problem I'm having with
Click.
Paula is Paula
Yeah.
says
I know.
she can take and cut her hours even less. Well, if she can cut her hours, then why do we want to give her a raise?
Well, it doesn't, things aren't adding up to me.
My scale's not bouncing here.
Close to Christmas, guys.
Okay,
Got two
let me ask Paul a question. Is your responsibilities overloaded right now
I'm a lot better than I was.
with Christina doing what she does, or?
Well, now that I've got, Kayla's taken 99% of the utility program, which that's what I was doing too. So, I mean, actually, our part-time person is, I'm trying to get rid of some files in the basement because I've got 1999 files. We're just trying to clean the basement out too, so I really don't need a part-time person as many hours really as I've got working. But
You still have the responsibilities of the municipal court.
Yes.
Does that require time here or just time there, or what does that require, the municipal court responsibilities?
Whenever we get tickets in, I have to put
Here.
it in. Everything I do is here.
Is here.
It's right here.
They come in and pay on their fines or
They
whatever.
pay on their fines, we take the money.
Whose decision was it to start giving her 28 hours a week when it was advertised for 10 days out of the month?
RL had told me that we could let her do it because we were trying to get some stuff taken out of the basement, and I never changed her hours.
So it really wasn't the council's approval? It was the mayor at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I make a motion, just leave that alone right now.
Second.
All in favor? There you go. Merry Christmas, guys.
Richard,
Huh?
you know, really, I mean, I don't wanna rain on anybody's parade or anything like that, but just like you all were talking, you know, where's the money coming from for raises? I think Sharon, yeah, I think that position should have a raise when everybody else got one that probably didn't have, you know, shouldn't have gotten them when they did. But, you know,
I didn't say that.
well, I know you didn't say that, I said that.
Oh.
But you know, just like now, you've got your raises took care of, everybody's had a raise, you know, more or less. And just like Pat said, why don't you freeze them for a year or two until you kind of get on your feet? I can remember working jobs and we didn't get raises every freaking year or every 6 months.
At one point, they did freeze the raises here when I was here.
Until you get on your feet, you know, people just have to learn to live on what they've got. We did for a long time when I worked at Lazy Boy. We didn't get raises all the time. There was 5 or 6 years we didn't get a dime.
Yeah, I believe you. That's, I know a lot of them, my wife the same way when she was working. But, I think we better. Settle that up,
Well,
I think.
I think some of our budgetary problems is not necessarily in the areas of the personnel income. I think it's in other areas that have been really mishandled and used.
That's a good point.
And a lot of it is like the gas purchases, like, maintenance on maybe some of the prior equipment and pumps and things like that. We've had to buy and purchase, stuff like that. And I think we've just, had to tighten the belt in that respect. Always to a certain extent, personnel and raises is gonna be a part, but it's not as big a part as you think. I think it's just the entire scope of what you're spending money on, from all kinds of equipment to added maintenance, to anything that's broke down. Why is that broke? Has it broke 3 times? Why did we replace this, and why have we replaced that? And you factor all those things in. Well, as a council, I think if you get the right personnel in place, then all of a sudden these costs start dwindling, and all of a sudden the money comes back. But you'll have to look at it over a period of time. The right personnel causes machinery, causes things to happen better. That's just my view.
It ain't gonna happen overnight.
Well, okay, can we, go to number 6? And I'm sure you got one before you interested in that. Set the budget meeting for 214 to 15. In other words, what, 14 to 15. And then, 2015 to 16 budgets. What are we gonna try to do, 7, 8, is that what we're doing?
Yes.
How much are we gonna be able to do before the Christmas?
I don't know, but the next meeting is 23rd, which is the last one.
Do we have a meeting on the 23rd?
We did, yeah. 23rd? Yeah. That's next Tuesday.
We never did have a second meeting in December. We only usually just had one meeting in December.
One meeting in December?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Close to Christmas, we never did have a meeting, no.
Got one vote on it. Most everything we got really is containing to later. But these guys here are gonna pull the strings out. That budget
Special.
meeting, do you want to set a budget meeting, or maybe next meeting we'll be ready to set one of what dates we want, and that'd be after the first year. And that next meeting would be a
If we
special
only have
meeting.
one meeting this month.
Yeah, if it's just gonna, oh, no, the 23rd, we'll have it.
I don't know.
We've already-
You can make a motion, but we're
That's what Joanne just talked about. In the past, we only had one
You
meeting.
didn't understand me, Richard. I said, the city normally
Oh, yeah.
only has one council meeting in December, because usually the second one is so close to Christmas, everybody's got things to do.
It's
And I
close to
realize city
Christmas,
goes
there's
on.
church
And
programs.
we might be drinking
School
eggnog.
programs.
Well, no, there's usually church programs, school
I got you.
programs,
I got you.
everything going on.
I think last year it was Christmas Eve.
Like that, but we have
Uh-huh.
to set up a budget after the first year.
It was.
Got anything else going on? Well, Paula, anything we have to bill paying or anything on the 23rd? What about you, Victor? You want another meeting so you can be here close 2 days for Christmas?
No.
Uh-oh. One again. Okay, Bill, you usually think pretty quick. Can you think your way out of this?
Yeah, postpone it till the first meeting, first council meeting in January.
What's our first council meeting in January? Well, that's a
Got a
good.
motion?
That's the motion.
Okay, that'd be the second Tuesday in January,
Yep.
and that's with the budget meeting, it'll be that same night, right? Budget meeting, same night as the regular council meeting in
I
January.
think that would be a little bit of a conflict, don't you think, if you try to do that all at one time?
You'll be here till midnight.
Yep.
Well, the way the second Tuesday is the 12th,
13.
13th, you're right.
Can you have a budget meeting the Tuesday before?
Split it up, you mean? Yeah.
Makes more
Does that
sense.
work, everybody?
Yeah,
Okay, Bill, I'll put the rest of that.
so that date's gonna be what then?
6.
All right, I'll make a motion to have set a budget meeting for 2014-15, 15-16 for January the 6th,
At what time?
6:30.
I don't care, what do you want? All right.
The earlier the better.
Earlier the better, ours says.
You want it earlier? 6?
6 would be better for me,
All
probably.
right, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, Paul, did you hear that? Okay, all those in favor?
Good.
I need a second.
Huh?
I need a
I
second.
second.
Thank you, Travis.
All those in favor? 3-0.
Somebody need to make a motion about postponing the December 23rd meeting.
Canceling
I
it.
guess that's what, did that do that? You want to make a
No.
motion on it?
I make a motion to cancel the second meeting in December, which would be the 23rd.
Second.
All those in favor? 3-0. Thank you, Joanne.
That was in the
Why
past.
wouldn't I be?
No, I'm just saying that the person you appoint, they have to be appointable.
I don't know, you tell us. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I make a motion to go ahead and accept that
okay.
nomination.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor of Cooper being,
If I'm gone.
there you go.
Okay.
Now you said it, because I knew he was appointable, I mean, there ain't no doubt, I don't know why it's even brought up, though. Because we could always have somebody in office, and then if they can't be bonded, naturally we have to replace somebody else.
It's
That has happened. That
It's
has
happened.
You're
Yes, it
right.
has.
That's happened, I know.
No, all that many years ago.
I know, but when it does, it can be taken care of.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't doubt nobody. Okay, that's pretty quick. Accept resolution in reference to signing checks. Oh, that's for Bill, yeah, and, well, that's for the mayor. Okay, do we have to have a
I have a resolution that I need you guys to sign because then I have to take it to the bank.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm signing checks.
Yes, and I left it blank because I wasn't sure who was gonna, but
Okay,
just pass it, and we can go on to the next.
okay, ordinance 5, yeah, 5.
I'm calling, I sign this also.
Actually, no.
So we have bill number 785. The filings of city offices will open Tuesday, December the 16th at 2014 and close Tuesday, January 20th, 2015. Positions filled for the April 7th election are municipal judge, mayor, city collector, 1 North Ward alderman, and 1 South Ward alderman to each serve 2-year terms. And do you want me to read this ordinance now?
Excuse me, Paul, when did the closing, what was the closing?
Closing is January 20th, Tuesday, 2015.
December 16th.
Yes, next Tuesday. And the state's requiring a whole bunch of new paperwork this year. We had a webinar last week.
16th to January the 20th.
Okay, so bill number 785, an ordinance of the city of Granby, Missouri to amend section 105.020D, articles 3, chapters 105 of the municipal code, calling for an April 7, 2015 election in the city of Granby, Newton County, Missouri. Be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the city of Granby, Missouri, section 1, that section 105.020D is hereby repealed in its entirety, and a new section is hereby enacted in its place to read as follows: that a regular election be held in the city of Granby, Missouri on Tuesday, the 7th day of April 2015 for the purpose of electing a municipal judge, mayor, city collector, 1 member of the Board of Aldermen from the South Ward, 1 member of the Board of Aldermen from the North Ward, to each serve a 2-year term. Section 2, the city clerk shall notify the county clerk of the city's intention to hold such election and of the form of the ballot. County clerk shall act as the election authority. The polling place for such election will open at 6 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. Paper ballots will be used. The polling place for the election will be the Granby Community Building Annex. Section 3, that all ordinances or part of ordinances in conflict with provisions of the ordinance are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall take effect and be in full force and after its date of passage.
Okay, we need to make a motion on that.
Bill number 785. I move to accept Bill 785 on first reading.
Second.
Yep, thank you.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Reading on.
Paula, you started to tell us about the new regulations. Is there a lot of new regulations?
There's a whole bunch of new paperwork.
Paper?
Yes. That has to be notarized.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be fun. A lawyer, Melinda and I actually sat an hour and a half and didn't even get through all of the paperwork that he had sent us.
Really?
Yes.
Mine.
It's gonna be fun. Okay, so bill number 785, an ordinance of the city of Granby to amend section 105.020D, articles 3, chapter 105 of the municipal code, calling for an April 7, 2015 election in the city of Granby, Newton County, Missouri.
I move to accept Bill 785 on second final reading by title number.
Second.
All those in favor? Bill passed. Read
Thank
it.
Such enthusiasm.
Feel the excitement. We're ready for number 6, I think. Discussion of gas fund payment. So, Paula, you gonna start on that?
All I know is what I gave everybody when I made payments to Constellation. I gave all that paperwork to everybody. If you have questions. I also, Mackenzie from Constellation, as of November 17th, gas storage was 65.21. Gas trading, December gas was trading at 4.42, which we've been using our storage at the rate of about $3.60 a day.
How much storage?
As of November 17th, it was 6521. Okay, email just got, was storage is 2540 as of second day of December. But our weather has been so fluctuating.
You use 4,000 units,
And,
and we've got 2,000 left in storage for the rest of this month,
yes,
You really need to increase the gas
in
for
storage.
come January.
What did we get locked in for, 50%, 80%? What percentage of gas is locked in?
60, 50, 60, at 415.
Because if you're gonna meet your bond payments, you need to know.
She didn't email me back today. I don't know what happened, because she's been talking to me almost every day.
Is the money there to put gas back in storage? Or can we, I think, the way I've understood, we can lock in, like say another 30%
The first of the month.
at December's rate. It won't be at the same rate we locked in before, which I would say if we had 60% at 414, we could lock in 30% at 450, whatever, whatever the lock-in rate is, don't quote me on that price.
I don't know what the December.
Lock-in.
Right.
Right. But that way, we're guaranteed 90% of our gas under $5.
Right. I can email her tomorrow and find out exactly what's going on and then holler at everybody.
Yes,
And then possibly, where you were speaking, get the other 10% in storage.
Well, I guess my question would be, how did we get where we were? And what have we done to safeguard we won't do it again?
I've been talking to Mackenzie more and more. Last December and January, I'm just gonna say it straight up, we lost a mayor, and Melinda and I were trying our best, and it got under the rug. Then we raised the gas prices and locked in January.
We were purchasing gas at a higher price than we were billing. And that turns into
In
thousands
January,
quick.
that happened,
Turns into
yes.
thousands of dollars quick.
Yes.
And so what funds were we using to pay that?
I had to
Amount
use
back.
15 out of the street this last time, which they had done before too, is what Joanne had even told you all.
I guess the part that is most, is we said her unaware. And I mean, before we start taking money out of other funds and everything, we need to know where we're at. I mean, what I saw on receipts, we took money out of that gas bond
Yes?
too. I mean, that's just,
What other options are they? And I understand how this situation happens. You just didn't buy any gas, we didn't buy any gas, and that is understandable. I can understand how that can happen. We don't like for it to happen. And I'd say probably there could be safeguards put in place, like more of a committee type, looking at it, Jim, you, mayor, whoever's involved that is around gas usage, and make a better decision. But I guess we have to put in place a system in which we'll never be that, because if you take in less than what you paid for, then that just can't work.
Okay.
So if the price of gas would have come up on the bill, we could have.
So what I'm doing is, every Monday, I talk to Mackenzie, every Monday. Friday afternoon, I email her and say, Monday, get me this, this, and this. Unfortunately, something happened today, I didn't get an answer. But she's always good about answering. So,
So like
I'm
on
trying to stay more on top of this,
Like
okay?
on buying gas, every every dollar means a lot when it comes to the bill.
Yes.
And it means a lot when it comes to putting money back.
Yes.
Talk like, let's talk about like where income goes and where it comes. $1 on gas could mean thousands.
Yes,
You save it or you lose it.
right.
Well, if we're, sharper on that, and I understand how things happen, it was a real confused time at that time. But if we keep safeguards, and I think maybe a committee system, people that are in the gas, I think Jim ought to be brought in, and Mayor, and you and those involved, to where we can always buy at the cheapest point, basically, and not miss it. And we do the same thing where I work. We got a contract product. I've got to buy soybean meal or cottonseed meal. I've got to buy truckloads of it. Well, I've got to buy on the commodity level. And if it's high, then I lose my tail. If it's low, we hit a home run. And I think the same way with the citizens of Granby, the same way. And I think there's money to be made at this. And when you talk about storage, why not store it if you can afford it? Even if you pay a tax on it. Because can't you sell gas back even if you have a surplus?
I think we did.
Yes, we've done that.
We've done that
Yes.
before, yeah.
So you can actually make money with this.
Correct.
If you have the money to buy it.
We have gas in,
I think we
$4
can
gas in
be,
storage.
I think we can be better in the future, so it's just, I hate that it happened, I just did.
I'm trying to not let that happen again. It will not happen again.
One of the questions, and this is into something different, but because it's the vendor thing, but it looks like the check to Consolation's $119.
Because we bought 31 units at whatever,
Is that for like the whole month of December?
that was for October, I think. Is
We
that
have
what
no
it was?
takes, we're gonna have to go home.
We use out of storage too, Myra.
We used out of storage in October. I think that was for October's bill.
I didn't know that either. I signed a check one day.
In
And
a
then
box.
Then I said, now we're gonna pay this on due this month, aren't we? She's supposed to notify us if she can't do it from now on, she'll be notifying us. And we'll have to find a CD or something, and this has to be paid every month, we know that now. But anyway, this check, I had already signed it for $1 and something, and I said, Consolation, I knew that, but it didn't mean nothing to me. I thought, well, that's some small deal, and it was.
Well, we locked in at $4 and something a unit, what did we this last time?
For
And
January.
there was a time in which we was at the possibilities of locking in at $3 or something, that was $1 savings. That means a lot when it comes to the bill. So it's things like that, I think we can save a lot of money for the city and pay our way by just being wise with our,
And it helps your customers, because before in the past, I know in other places, like when they go from buying $4 gas to having to buy $15 gas, they pass that on to their customer. And, try doing that.
I'd rather pass that $3 gas on to the customer than the $15 gas.
Well, this way if we know how much we're paying for gas from now, or we used to try to go like from October to April. If you know what you're paying then Joanne as a customer or Bobby as a customer knows what he's gonna be paying. In a roundabout figure, it helps the homeowner set a budget yourself.
This group conversation is a good one to have when you're getting ready to buy gas, I think.
Well, I mean, and that's my whole deal, and
I wouldn't want to make that decision on my own.
no, and I mean, it's not fair for it all to fall on you.
No.
It's not, and I know this is all taken out of text, but the more eyes on things and the more checks and balances that, I mean, it's hard to outthink the people that set this country up, and the way it was set up the way it was is so that everybody knew what was going on all the time and all that stuff, and I just think there's been a lot of things put on the city clerk that she probably needs some help on, and I mean, it's been brought up before I sat here about cross-training and everyone, because we're all just passing through this world, and if something happens to somebody tomorrow, it's nice if everyone else in the game knows what the rules are, and the more eyes on stuff, the the better it is. And I think we've put way too much on you to do all this, and in that aspect, it doesn't work out when things go bad.
I do appreciate the fact that we did get the bill paid, and it was a tough one. And we can debate the ins and outs of it, but I'm glad it was paid, we move forward with it.
Yeah,
Can I
Paul,
ask a question?
if Paul, you know, she knows, and if she wants to call us, which she will now, and let us know, because we are the ones supposed, we dropped the ball, I didn't have the experience.
No, I didn't either.
And, I didn't get into every little detail, but it's pretty confusing, especially for, you know, we're just coming in. But now that we can help her, she won't feel bad about it not having enough money. She can call us because we're supposed to get her some money if she hasn't got it. She can't make money against law.
Okay. Paula, you see day-to-day records. Do you feel that the gas system, you need to put an increase on the gas?
Not right now. We're at $8.50, we're okay right now. I
But
mean,
you're gonna be able to put money back in a,
and I'm looking, I'm trying to look 3 months ahead too,
Okay.
so,
Okay.
yes,
But that'll be part of that budget meeting discussion,
yes.
will it not? Yeah.
Gotta be.
Okay, we're going on from there? Okay, where we at? Oh, yeah, okay, discussion, number 7?
Yep.
Discussion of crosswalk guard. Now, who's got that?
I do. I'm just curious about a couple things. I know Christina's not able to, I guess, work crosswalk guard one day a week or something.
Tuesday afternoon.
Okay. How are we, my concern is, I know Jim's guys do it sometimes. I've seen you, Kevin, man in it and all that stuff. My concern, I'm not being a stickler about this or anything, but I do realize that if there was an accident or if in the midst of all of it, whether it be Kevin has an emergency he has to go on, he can't go mad. Jim's guys are working something they can't go mad, whatever. This day and age, are we, I know East Newton's contributing some of the money, but is Granby assuming all the liability?
One other question that I had, where did we pick up the responsibility of crosswalk? When did we do that?
years and years ago.
Was it just something out of the goodness of our heart, or, I don't mind helping the school with some payment there because of just a co-op. But
Isn't it part of
what
MoDOT
if the
too?
responsibility was shifted to them to manage
It's part
it?
of MoDOT. It's part
Part of
MoDOT.
Missouri Department of Transportation.
Because we've got a contract.
As a
The
city?
the city has a contract.
With MoDOT,
Uh-huh.
that we have to maintain this crosswalk.
Uh-huh.
Well, my concerns is hypothetically, we've got whoever is manning it, okay? Are they being paid to do it? Who's being paid the days Christine isn't there?
No one is.
Okay, she's not being paid the day she isn't
No.
there. I'm leery of putting the liability on, whether it be one of Jim's guys, or Kayla, or Kevin, or something, if something happens, because you know good and well, I mean, they call them accidents for a reason, but somebody gets hit up there, is it gonna put Kevin at liability? Is it gonna put, I mean, how does,
As long as you got your safety vest or safety coat on, and you have the stop sign that they have, I think you're covered.
I mean, I just wonder if, if we've got a contract, if there's somebody's name on it. I mean, God
When
forbid
City of
anything ever.
Granby. It's
When,
the city of
when
Granby.
Scott was police chief, he did it a lot.
Yeah. I just, like I said, just something, I mean, that crosswalk's in kind of a bad place anyway,
Yep.
It is.
the way it is. And if you pull out on a side street, you won't see that end light. And I've come through there and forgot it was there at what time of day it was.
And we've got kids that cross the block up
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Originally, it was at Pennsylvania.
yeah,
Yeah.
originally it was.
But with the
So
hill there,
Mar-
they.
Yeah, MoDOT.
MoDOT changed it.
Yeah. I just, like I say, I wanna make sure that we're covered and
Can we as a city apply to MoDOT or an agency or whatever for a crossover?
That'd be steep anywhere you put it.
Yeah.
That's my.
Yeah,
Yeah, right there.
I mean, it'd have to start at
Wide
Newton
roads
Street
and
and go
roads
to,
and
We
stuff
put police
coming
in front of
through
the viaduct.
yeah, would be a viaduct.
You could shade your front yard,
Call
man.
patrol.
We could tunnel under, yes.
Well, I think that's a good question.
That down there with the creek on the street.
No,
North side to the cross. Go ahead, start out with Frank Green.
We just started at Frank Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Yeah, that was just
This
really
way-
a terrible idea.
We could go to something else, but.
what about zip line?
Putting it on monorail while we're at it.
I was even thinking, just thinking, oh,
Why
yeah, I
can't we
was thinking about
contact
how
the
about
insurance
putting in a
company and
cave,
ask them
something under.
their
it's just-
opinion on this?
But anyway.
Yeah, cause I don't,
They would be the one
I
to
just don't
say
wanna
yes,
see
no,
somebody put at risk that's just trying to help.
or whatever,
Oh.
you know.
It's just like the number of kids that get hit around the buses. It's terrible. The cars just, whatever reason, or texting or whatever, they just don't stop.
Yeah.
Very dangerous. Okay, guys, can we go on a little bit further? Yeah. Okay. Discussion on city employee that hold multiple positions.
Oh, that's mine again. My question is, are we, and I'm sure this will be taken out of text down there, everything I say is, are we, it's kind of like what we were touching on earlier, are we putting too much on people to where we're not being as productive as we could be? In some instance, I think we might be money ahead to hire somebody else to do something that made me think about this at the meeting, a couple meetings ago, we were discussing the cost of Newton County Dispatch and the police department, and you brought up, could we have somebody answering the phone? Okay, now I'm not aware what is court clerk part of your job, or you paid separately for this, or is this included, or?
It's in the budget that $1,200 of my salary goes as court clerk.
I mean, I'm just wondering if we, now I'm not wanting to take away from you, but what I'm getting at with this is, I know you're overloaded, and I know we've got a lot of issues that probably aren't getting the attention that they need. I wonder if we wouldn't be money ahead to hire a court clerk, have them where they answer, if they work 3 days a week, and when they're not doing something with the court, they could answer the phone for Jacob. And set it up that way. I know a couple of cities I've inquired about, that's the way they do it. That would free your time up to where, I mean, I know you're busy, and I know that, I mean, first and foremost, I would think that your job is city clerk, and I know you've got a lot of things going on, and I know there's a lot of issues that don't get the attention that they need, and I think first and foremost, we need to look at, we talk about streamlining. Well, you know, is that streamlining? In a sense, it is. If we can make people more productive and get these things, I mean, it's like the gas issues and other things. I don't think that you've got enough time to get everything done, and then we start throwing more stuff on.
I guess the question is there enough time to take care of court clerk and city clerk?
Yeah.
$1,200 is not a lot of money. My thoughts are, if you thought about leaving, like Paul, with the responsibilities of city clerk only, didn't you say the $1,200 come out of that, or was it added to the salary that you already get?
Just, it's spread out There, if you look at the budget, there's like $1,200 that goes into the court. It's budgeted.
Is that part of your total?
Total salary, yes.
So I don't see, Travis, a savings anywhere there. And then
Well,
if you can handle responsibilities.
Well, like I say, you know,
the city's got money invested in her and through training, schooling, and everything and all. You're gonna be throwing that out the window because you're gonna have to turn around and do it again. So, you're not saving nothing.
Well, we ended up bringing another employee in, which would have been Christine, to help out. I think we shot ourselves in the foot there somewhat.
Well,
That's kind of flip-flop.
it all kind of comes back to, like I say, the checks and balances thing. We've got, I don't see that we're being very efficient, and I don't see, I mean, mistakes get made, yes, but when mistakes are made and the reason is I'm covered up, well, how do you uncover? I mean, it's kind of like the raise thing. Well, you know, we've done it for everybody else. Well, sooner or later, that philosophy has to stop, and we have to take a step back and realign things, and not just because, well, you know, you go ahead and do this too, and then, you know, next thing, you know, I mean, and I'm not slamming anybody, but I have come down at times when Paul went there and asked for information. I don't know, you'll have to wait till Paul gets here. I mean, anyone in there ought to be able to tell you about anything, the way I look at it. I mean, you are in charge, but nevertheless, we can't have the town stop when you leave.
Well, if you take away the responsibilities of the municipal clerk, and then you add someone to do that, then it's gonna require a full-time personnel, and I don't know how we're gonna make up that money.
It wouldn't be a full-time personnel, it would be a couple of days a week.
Well, it's hard to find somebody that can work in that.
So what happens when Joe comes in on Wednesday and, I'm sorry, you can't take that fine because she won't be back until next Thursday?
But what happens on Thursday when somebody comes in and needs something and you say, I'm busy, I got court tonight, I'm covered up? And I've come in and asked for stuff and you told me that before. So, I mean, first and foremost, you're the city clerk. Everything other than that, I mean, and I think that's where the ball's getting dropped. I think there's, you know, we either need to, if we're gonna have Christina, then we need to utilize it. And if we're gonna have people over there, I mean, they need to be productive. We can't pay people to shred paper. We can't do it. There's, you know, we can't, granted, it's $8 an hour, but $8 an hour over a year, that's some money. And I mean, and I'm not slamming Christina because she's only doing what she's told, but I've walked in her before and her be sitting back there looking at the ceiling. Well, that's not spending money wisely. It's not. And especially whenever you say, I'm covered up. Well, if you're covered up, then we either need to train her. If she can't, if we have someone that can't handle a job, then we need to address it. We can't keep people on the payroll because, I mean, it would be great, but the way the ball bounces is we can't keep people because they're a great guy or they're a whatever.
Well, look, you know,
We're not utilizing our resources properly. If we're gonna, you know.
So if you can, you know, I think in areas of court clerk, if you can manage a court clerk for, you know, $1,200, that is assumed in the salary of the city clerk. You're not doing too bad money-wise with that. If you can get all the responsibilities done that you're assigned to. There's a few concerns that I have, especially when it comes to the budgetary problems and the auditors. I know that we were out a few $1,000s extra on auditor problems And I'm not sure that that maybe could have been helped if, whose responsibility is the books? It's the clerk and whoever is helping you.
He was saying that, the way the QuickBooks was set up, they were having trouble. Well, originally, Brad Taylor had set that up. So now I've changed it all to fit their needs, I hope.
Originally, he was the one that set it up, and then he's having trouble with it?
Yes, sir.
Well, it ended up, didn't it end
Taylor
up
didn't
costing
set
us
that
Well,
up.
I thought it was his
No,
house.
CPA Group in Monette set up QuickBooks.
No, they did not. Not the original ones.
Well,
CPA Group didn't come in until after I was here. The first audit when I was here was done by Taylor, Brad Taylor.
The CPA Group was here before I retired.
Well, what
I
I'm,
know,
I guess
the
what
year that
what
I-
I'm getting at, I guess, is just what I'm trying to say is if we can eliminate that extra money that we spend, I think it was like, what, $14,000 extra? That goes a long way towards, salary increases.
that's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, and it's a decent point. I mean, if the clerk is overloaded to the place where she can't monitor that real well, then we probably need to make adjustments if she can, or if this problem was not necessarily hers. I'm assuming that the books that they're working with, I'm talking about Green now, is your responsibility. Is that right? I mean, is that how that? I still today haven't figured out why that there was so much extra in
And
cost.
I don't understand you.
Well, I mean, we can't
Part of
do
what
that.
the auditor
We
said-
obviously can't do that again.
Part of what the auditor said was that, yeah, we had the QuickBooks in the computer, but it was not being utilized to the extent that it should have been utilized. There was a lot of things being tracked in a ledger book rather than that being transferred over into QuickBooks. That was a big portion of it. When we hired on Christina, that was part of the idea, is that Christina could take some pressure off of her enough to where they could start utilizing QuickBooks.
But the only one that has a ledger book is the city collector.
Okay, and part of what the council said at the time in that conversation was that we wanted her to get away from using that ledger book too, and for her to start making use of QuickBooks. Has that taken place yet? I mean, I love the woman just like everybody else is saying,
That was
but,
brought up by the council before you, because I was on that then.
okay, so,
And it didn't
so that's an
happen- it didn't
ongoing
happen to
thing.
Your guys
that
watch either, no.
We
it
keep
hadn't.
talking about it, but it doesn't get
Yeah.
addressed.
Well, my point is, when you talk about money saved, that's $14,000. And if that $14,000 is there because of my fault, then we'll address it. If it's yours, then we'll address that also. But still, as a city, we can't pay $14,000 again.
No.
It won't be 14 next time, it'll be 18 or more,
Yeah, because they're not gonna assume any part of it.
But
However that happened, I don't know, because I'm not a bookkeeper.
I know when I was on the council before and we brought that up and had the conversation with, I won't mention the name, but we all know who we're talking about. She said, I'm not gonna do that, I'm scared of computers. So that's the problem that I had back up here a while ago on the raise issue. Some things you just don't forget and some things you can't overlook because it's still not being done through two councils.
But she's on the computer with her taxes and everything. I thought that she had part of her other books on the computer.
We do.
Do you now?
Me and Kayla have the.
I do her.
Bank statement.
So all the stuff is on the computer then? Or is she still doing everything by
She
the
does by hand.
ledger?
But if we're talking about streamlining our procedures and being as efficient as possible, that's inefficient. If she's putting it in a book and then somebody else is having to get paid to come back behind her and transfer it to a computer, that's inefficient. It just is.
So we're paying two people to do
Yeah.
one job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, like I say, that's the,
Well, I guess the point is, the original point is there a problem, Paula, with multiple jobs? is there a problem in that? Or is that handled?
With my multiple jobs,
Yeah.
I'm doing better, I feel.
And then my point was, the accounting service, they nailed us with that, with a pretty good overage.
Well, if they're having to go back and, I mean,
Is our accounting put up for bid, or?
We're gonna have to bid this next year, in January, again. 'cause we
How
have-
much should be allowed in procedure, I guess? I mean, how much should be accepted as, this is what you're gonna have to do because you're working with, when you're bidding a job?
I'm not for sure how it
$14,000 allowed?
I mean, I'm sure it's quite
I'm sure
an
they-
extensive task, I'm sure it is, I mean, it's,
The next one that bids the job may bid high because of maybe Granby problems. I don't know that.
Why did the council pay the additional? They contracted the job for X amount of dollars. Then why did we pay them more?
Well, to answer your question, Pat, I believe the way I saw it
Is they contracted it to be a certain way, like a certain group. And when they're picking out here, this wasn't within the confines of their contract, I believe. That's what I believe.
Yes.
In other words, they kind of take a scope of what they can do, and then it's out here. That's the way I see it. Am I right? Which was a lot more hours.
Okay, are we decided good enough discussion for now?
Yeah, it's,
I feel like that needs to be two jobs. I think you need to have a court clerk and a city clerk.
Well, if you do that,
Then,
Joanne, then I don't know that you can get more efficient than $1,200 court clerk.
When I was here, Kay May was a computer operator, and she was the court clerk also. That fed in. But I think the two positions ought to be,
And that was there extra salary involved?
I think just the 12.
So you believe that somebody could come in for just $200 a month,
Yeah.
or $100 a
$100
month?
a month. One meeting a month,
That just,
one court.
it just doesn't seem like much money. $1,200 doesn't seem like a lot of money.
Well, it could cut down on all this
Well, I
all
mean,
stuff too.
Well, now that's the part that, it looks.
that's the big picture.
Yeah.
Right there.
Is if you save $8,000 a year or whatever there and save some more on this and that, and
If
more time for more diligence in the city clerk part of it.
If the books are done right, okay, and right, everything's in order, I think, and it's my opinion, I think there's no need for a change. If they can't be done, then it's almost inevitable you're gonna have to make a change.
I know for one thing, I was 20 years and I did those ledgers by hand every month and it bounced to the T at the end of the year. We did not have any big messes like we're having now.
Well, there's a part of computers I think that really complicates.
They
things.
are, if you've got,
Okay, are we ready to move on to number 9?
You never have to take an order.
Okay, number 9, implicating the job description for the fire chief and department employment procedures. Whose is that?
And again, we were instructed here a while back that we probably should have a job description for everyone that was on the payroll. And I just wanted to bring this up, kind of everybody throw some ideas in there, see what they think. So that everyone that is employed by the city is aware of their job and
one of the, I was telling somebody, one of the hardest things that I ever did at the mill was after 25 years, sign a job description. I fought tooth and toenail at that because everybody knows what I'm doing, and I'd argue and what have you like that, but at the end of the day, it wasn't that big of a deal because I'd still do the same thing. It's something that's in procedure, and if something ever happens to me, then whoever comes behind me will have that same procedure to do. And I signed it, and we went on, and everything was, we lived happily ever after. It's just what, at least all the plants do. I got one on everybody, and I got one on myself. The GM's got them. It's just what you do. If you're paid, if you have a responsibility, then it's on paper and it's in the ordinance book. But if in doing that, probably there needs to be input from the fire department and the leadership there as to what would be acceptable and doable and such. Something that we probably need to think about a little bit, talk about, and then take it on maybe at a later date is what I think.
Is there an ordinance?
There's nothing in our book, is there?
No. It was like, my job got an ordinance.
See, and we don't have anything for like Kevin, the
But
laborers.
they're laborers.
We gotta have the laborers, would have to have one too. But I think everybody else has one, I don't know.
And in a sense, and it covers everyone. It protects you, it protects everyone.
You make ordinance decisions for 50 years down the line. It's not necessarily for today, but if you make them so your city's operational after we're gone. And just like my job, one of these days I'll retire, not any quicker than Jim will, but sometime I will, and the next guy will come in with that same job description, he'll do what I would do.
And it can be modified to
I was gonna say, there's gonna be changes.
Well, it'll have to
It
fit.
can be modified with, nothing but the council's vote to cover any things that can come up over the years.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, what type of a job description or how many hours that Kevin does that he gets his insurance and everything all paid for? What does he do to get those hours in? You gotta work less than 30 hours.
I get up all times during the night, I go to all kinds of meetings, all kinds of seminars. I do
But
most,
that goes in with the fire chief. I'm talking about the hours that you get paid for here in City Hall to get your insurance. You never did have insurance before until after I left.
that was voted on by the council.
But what do you do when you,
What
your
do I do?
meetings has always gone with the fire chief. That's your fire chief's duties. I'm talking about the duties that you do. Well, you're down here every day.
Wouldn't most
I
of
mean,
that
what do
be
you do?
I
administrative?
check in and make sure I got mail, if I have any
Okay.
messages,
Okay,
turn in purchase orders. Make phone calls.
Probably computer research. Any of your computer research would be under administrative. Grants.
And I think my pay and what the insurance is a very cheap fire chief for this area, for a full-time chief around this area. They get a lot more than what I get.
well, you also have another income coming.
Yes, I do, and that
So,
was
I mean, that's
considered in
beside the
on my
point.
pay.
Yeah. I know, everybody needs an extra job to subsidize.
Well, I guess just the question is, and I don't know and never have, you gotta be 30 hours to get your insurance, correct?
I probably do that, easy.
You have to have
I mean,
30 hours a week.
just,
to get your insurance paid.
But my insurance is not what the insurance they have.
No, because you've got the Medicare too,
You're right.
along with your
That's my
insurance.
supplement.
Okay.
If you wanna bring it out, that's my supplement.
Yeah, I know. I know what it is.
We used to, well, just like you guys were talking on, we did it all on paper, and now it's all on the computer and it has to go into the state. And it's, instead of it being one page, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on the fall.
well, I mean, I guess just my point is if Joe Blow citizen walks in and says, what does my fire chief do when my tax money's going to pay his insurance? And I say, I don't know. And so what's his job description say? I don't know.
So what you're saying, part of this whole deal is.
I mean, everyone else has a
what-
job description that is employed.
Evidently not, they just named off the city workers don't have one.
They're laborers. They're not department
The
heads.
council's always said the fire department was volunteer too. That they was not city employees.
Are you paid by the city?
Yes, I am,
If,
but
if,
I wasn't classified
okay.
as a
well,
full-time employee. I don't get the hours Jim gets, I don't get the hours Victor gets, I don't get the hours he gets. I'm not on the retirement program.
But you are paid by the city, and as far as the volunteer issue, it continually comes up. If you guys aren't employed by the city, but something happens, the city's workman's comp kicks in for you guys. And if you guys have a wreck, the city's insured.
The last time we were at Workman's Comp, and what they paid, $15 a week.
I can't help that.
We're
I'm not an
Have you heard us
insurance
complain any before? You guys are the ones that are bringing it up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a workman's comp, now, they'd cover your medical, I mean,
To a
whatever
certain
you got hurt,
extent.
do.
But
Well,
if these guys get hurt and can't work, they get $15 or
$15
$20
a week.
from workman's comp to cover their work.
Now, after so
really
many
all it
weeks,
is.
Don't they get into
$15.
maybe medical type thing?
On the wheeler,
If it was long term?
No, Lance
No
did
land
that.
still.
Well, we need to look into that on our insurance side. But what I'm saying is that you're under the city of Granby's umbrella for liability, correct? Okay. If, Pat Kelly goes and gets in a fire truck and goes out and has a wreck, he's not authorized to do it because he's not being paid by the city, correct?
And if he's not on the roster, that's theft of a vehicle.
That's right. But you,
So if somebody goes and steals your vehicle and all, and they wreck it, who's liable?
my insurance. As I was told by an insurance guy one time, we cover
But they're
it.
gonna go sue him and all for the cost of it.
You're getting off point here. What I'm saying is, you know, if you're paid by the city, Kevin, you are an employee.
Make a job description, we'll go from there.
Well, I want your input on it. I don't want this to turn
Well,
into a
we don't
pissing
have
match.
time tonight for input. They done and said, we're gonna discuss it, that they wanted the fireman's input, so we'll get the fireman's input too. That's what Ira and Bill just said.
Yeah, it's gonna be something that we need to just, talk about, get something that works, and something that works for everyone, fits for Granby.
I've talked to a lot of volunteer firemen, their chiefs that get paid, they have no job description in the
The
area,
fire chief in Seneca gets $250 a month and no benefits, period.
so
Yeah,
that's
well,
cynical.
a while ago, you were less than anybody else. Like I said, there's no
I-
sense in this.
Hey, wait a minute, I said full-time department. Seneca is not a full-time department, that's what you're trying to.
I wasn't aware that Granby was. You said you're
Well, you're
volunteer.
trying to put me
Well,
into
what
it.
are we volunteer or are we full-time?
Council's always said volunteer.
Well, you just said we were full-time, so what?
No, I did not say we was full-time.
You said you were a full-time fire chief, did he not?
Well, we probably ought to, like I say, put this over
No,
for
I didn't
discussion.
say, I
Okay,
said you're trying to make
let's
it.
leave it open for discussion later, and let's get this out of the way. I think I might want to go bed up along. Number 10, approval of Missouri Rural Water Association, 2015 dues of $429.60.
I make a motion to pay Missouri Rural Water Association
Bye, Pat.
2015 dues, $429.60.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor, paying that bill? 3-0. Okay, wastewater superintendent, Victor Cox.
I didn't have anything, you guys have got my report. If you got any
We approved
questions.
the fires already, and letter from department, we got that? Well, okay. All right, number 12. Come on, Jim, keep it going. Superintendent, Jim Channel request.
The school, Rusty McDermott and the principal at Christian Grade School approached me about us painting crosswalks on Pennsylvania Street. They've been having a lot of trouble up there. And they're wanting a crosswalk painted there by the gymnasium, and then one up by the entrance into the other building, and some no parking signs along that street. They're having trouble with traffic issues, mornings and evenings. Now, I talked to Kevin, part of what we wanted to maybe put more teeth in the no parking is designate the, I guess the south side of that road as a fire lane, to where, because it's a one-way street anyhow, so nobody should be using that side of the road, and designate it as a fire lane too. I wanted to, the possibility of seeking a, say like, I don't know, there's that bussy striping or a contractor to do it, so there's several hundred people that see that and come out for it to look, represent the city in a good way.
Well, what do you do, Kevin, in a situation like that? Do they paint that curb red?
They paint it red and put up no parking fire lane signs.
Because you don't have anything
And
there, do
then-
you?
No.
Then if those are up, then it's their job to enforce it.
As it is right now, I have to go up there
If you
almost
had
every
an
day, run cars
emergency at the grade school during the time of this program,
We couldn't get in.
how would you get in?
Good question.
That's the
Because that place is full.
question.
Yeah,
It's
that's
full.
what Jim brought to me and talked to me about the fire lane deal.
And the
It's
people would like to see that done also.
Right, yeah. They come to me about the crosswalks and stuff, and the no parking. And I said, well, we could throw, add in the fire lane, if we don't have one, and it puts more bite in just the plain no parking sign.
Is there outside hookups on that building?
I think on the gym there is, but the other buildings are not.
You just gotta hook up the hydrant and go in.
We may want to, I'll double check in our ordinance book, make sure we actually have a ordinance against fire lanes, because I don't know if we have any other fire lanes, do we? So we may not have an ordinance that would make it enforceable, so we may need to address that as well.
But what I want, I'd like to just go to seek, get bids to have it professionally painted, so it don't look.
Something addressed?
Yeah, just so, I'm just asking for permission to get bids and see.
I make a motion to let Jim.
Let me go. Okay, let me ask something, because I forgot about this. Up there, and we've taken out and talked about it. Also, where they got the little arrows on the ground going out, a customer called me,
Those are to
a
be
citizen.
repainted.
Yeah, but also, Jim, people is going the wrong way on that. He said it almost hit him, big guy right down the street about a block, Dale, just I believe. That is supposed to be people coming in, isn't it? Down there.
Correct.
That's kind of odd to me. So,
Yeah, it's marked.
It is
Yep.
marked.
it says something over that I didn't even understand.
Do not enter? It's a 30 by 30 sign, Richard, it says do not enter.
I did not see it.
We just got that last month.
Yeah.
They're better.
Do we assume all the financial responsibility on those projects from the school?
It's a city street.
I'm talking about the fire lane and all the other such.
It's in the city right away, so yeah.
Yeah. It used to be a smaller one-way sign. And we thought maybe
I
it
haven't
was
seen it
noticed
since he
that.
changed it. Jim.
Yeah, it's a big, great big red sign.
I might see it, but the ones I was seeing said one way, but it didn't say which way, and it didn't have no arrows this way, I'm talking about what the state does. There's none of them up there, there's no arrows up here, there's one on the street, and it's getting painted.
And they're to be repainted, and then,
Well, they definitely, I couldn't believe it. come up this direction.
That's my bid.
That's what you do, right?
Yeah.
It says do not enter or whatever.
And they've even talked about the possibility in the school of getting one of the portable signs to set out in the middle of the road. I remember when they first closed Pennsylvania Street for the school, there was a set of gates that during school hours that were closed.
Did somebody bust them out?
No, when they built the new school, they closed. Pennsylvania Street was open, but they closed it during school hours.
So you're saying do not enter. It's down there on the south side.
On the west end, yeah.
This would be the northwest.
I'll look at it again. I'm still.
Yeah, if we don't
We're
hurry
gonna
up,
get
we'll
next
see the
midnight.
sun come up.
Okay, midnight's coming. All right, well, we're getting this discussion tonight, we're discussing all day on that.
Okay, I make a motion to let Jim Chandler get some bids on the crosswalk at grade school in Pennsylvania.
Here, a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, 3-0. Okay, request the dump truck, who's that?
That's mine, replacing the dump truck that we sold. The dump truck, we sold the back on the dump truck to replace the dump truck with a smaller one.
That was the price on this dump truck that you think about buying?
The one thing I found is, and one that I seen was, it was $17,900. But that's equipped with the snow plow, the spreader.
Now, when we had some of the other, our plans were to replace that.
Right.
So did we have money set aside to purchase this with? Paula, do you know that? Okay.
Well, how much did we get out of the two items we sold?
19, almost 20,000.
I
This
make a
is
motion.
it's I don't remember the exact year on this truck, it's up in Kansas City, but it's got like 60,000 miles on it. It's got a 10-foot snow plow, 4-yard stainless steel spreader bed.
That gives us 2 plows for the city then.
Right, two plows and then the 2 spreaders. We have the small spreader and then,
17,000? And you got 20 out of the other two?
I make a motion to purchase the dump truck.
Here, a second?
I'll second.
Got a second? All those in favor? 3-0. Okay, 13, Police Chief Jacob Kelly, repair the repeater on Bacon Ridge. I think you already done that too, haven't you?
Well, I came to you a couple months ago and said it was having, the repair got struck by lightning. The insurance finally paid off on it.
Yes.
Not fully.
We got $6,082.83, and it was bid at $8,000. Okay, Cameron, I had it all here.
Did you check any other bids, Jake?
No, I didn't.
These-
I thought it was just a repair bid for the insurance.
These guys are pretty much the only, I mean, you're not gonna find very many people for the repeaters and stuff, are you? $8,582.83, so we're looking at a $2,500,
I think that's what they said, it was like
$2,500 deductible.
Basically, I just like to get approval to get it replaced. Now that we finally got paid for it, we're gonna have to eat some of the cost, but at least it's not all of it.
So we're gonna be out at extra 2,500.
Yeah, that $2,500, but it'll be a whole new system, top to bottom,
Oh, brand new stuff.
brand new.
The only
What is
thing,
this used for?
It's our radios.
Radio.
what if we try to get a hold of Stefan from Lost Creek? Do you think that, I don't know if he could do any better or not.
The quote I got from Stefan back at the beginning of the year when I applied for that grant was like $11,000-12,000.
Okay.
Wasn't that your type of radio though?
But that was for the P25s. If we just go straight replacement, you might be able to.
Because I just got a bid from him for my conservation grant, and it wasn't anywhere near that.
My problem with Stefan is he worked for a guy that installed the radios over at Seneca. I don't know if Stefan was involved in it, but Seneca found out that they paid for brand new radios and they got used stuff bought off of eBay. That makes me a little leery that ours may be that way. I have checked.
If he
is gonna quote you a used radio, he quotes a used radio.
JB messed over a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, JB, that's the name of the guy I was trying to think of.
yeah, because he tried to get us on some stuff, and I caught him on it. And went back.
So I can do that, I can ask around and get some different quotes.
Well, we need to get.
That's what
this-
you're asking for?
We need to get this working. I
I
mean, how
think
quick do we
the
need to
biggest
get this
cost on
done?
our quote is the $2,500 for someone to climb the tower. That's, and Stefan's gonna have the same issue there, he's gonna have to hire a climber.
Nah, he's certified.
Last time I talked, well, of course, it's been over a year ago since I talked
Him
to him
and,
and climber
him
up
and
there.
Jeremy Crowder's both certified.
Now, isn't the loaner repeater we're using RCS's?
Loader reusing RCS's.
So where we going? Bill's wanting to go on. What do you think we can do? I mean, just approve his,
Either approve it like it is, or I can get-
RCS loaned us the repeater, I mean, and they're a good reputable company.
Now, who's that?
RCS
Is that this company or
RCS, that's the company out of Springfield.
is that the one you got the bid from? I think we probably ought to move forward. We need this.
But where's this money coming?
$1,000 question.
There's another $2,600.
now this, of course, this
Well,
this hasn't been done. It's just something that we try to get bid and while you're trying to.
But we're
found the
gonna
company.
end up having to purchase this, aren't we? We can't go on.
Right, well, either way, we're gonna have to end up doing something.
And you got $6,000 insurance, or was there a big deductible on it? Did you get it?
$2,500 deductible, we've got the insurance money.
How much is it, the insurance check is?
$6,082.83.
Okay. Okay, what do you guys wanna do?
Be glad they got that, because they said our control panel didn't get hit by lightning, it was hit at the same time.
So you got paid because it was hit by lightning.
Usually have the right people looking.
Oh, insurance looked at it.
Okay, anybody wanna make a motion?
I still don't know where the money's coming
Table it. Okay, that's the 2,500. Okay, you got insurance.
Do we have the money?
I have, there's repair and maintenance, there's like $2,000 in there. We just got our sales tax money, $9,000. There's money in the general fund for the 2,500.
Kevin wants to write a check.
I will offer, since we could probably switch over to that frequency and use it as backup, take the 2,500 out of the 1/4 cent sales tax to get them back online. Then when they get the money, pay it back to our 1/4 cent sales tax, if that will alleviate some of your problem.
Well, I think we can move forward.
Yeah.
I mean, if something happens to our repeater, we're gonna have to switch to his.
So it's just basically you would,
Yeah, so, you know, if you can pull it out of the 1/4 cent sales tax, then replace it. We've done that before with police cars. I think Scott needed transmission or something one time, and we paid for that out of our 1/4 cent sales tax, and it was replaced. That's just an offer.
well, I make a motion to get the repeater repaired on Bacon Ridge.
Say that faster.
I'll second it, but you're gonna go with Kevin's, get it from the 1/4 cent sales tax.
I'll put that in the motion, is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll still second.
okay, we got a second on that. Okay, on the motion on Bacon Ridge job. All those in favor? Reno?
That's all I got, 'cause I'm ready to go. The rest of it can wait.
Okay, 14, Fire Chief Gavin Johnson, air compressor.
Our air compressor in the station died.
It's in the station?
Yeah, it's in the station. It keeps the air tanks filled on the truck, the air brakes, so we can get out quicker. I called all of them, and polled them, you all voted yes. Travis suggested getting the extended warranty. I did get the 4-year warranty. Bought it at Lowe's. It is hooked up. It come to $960 some, I think, with our government discount.
It's money well spent on it.
So,
That black was put in there when the building was built, wasn't it? Or shortly
It's
after?
about 17, 18 years old, and it was bought at Sam's. It's got the aluminum head compressor, so it served its purpose.
Had airlines blowed off?
Yeah, the one I bought has cast iron compressor heads, so,
Use synthetic oil in that too.
yeah, it had oil in it, the paperwork said synthetic,
You
so,
can get it over at Oriflamme.
yeah. I just need you, it didn't have any with it, did it, when we put it in?
No, it didn't come up in there.
But they have it full of oil, so we just need your guys' blessings to approve it.
Okay, get that approved, right?
It's already been made. We
Yeah,
need to make that motion.
Just so we
It's
have
already
it
done.
on
I'll
record.
make a motion to approve what we've already done.
Find the air compression.
Bill Cooper, you gonna second that?
Thanks for the.
Yeah,
All in
Thanks for
favor?
that 2,500.
All in favor? Raise it up.
Will that come out of the capital funds?
yeah.
That'd be
Okay.
covered, yeah. Approval of November 2014 financial statement.
You can actually put 15 and 16 all together in one big group, because it's finances, money reports, electors, police, and court, all that. Trying to.
The only thing I've got marked already is on the second page, that we were talking about a while ago, third item down,
For 3,000 something.
the Taylor Green.
Oh,
piece.
I guess, is that just something we
It's
pay
their
out
installments.
Oh,
We
On
didn't
their
pay-
original contract.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
I don't think they did, because mine was, big.
Paul, have they said when they have the audit ready? They've never said, okay.
Should be soon.
Got a motion there?
It's on,
Approval of November 2014.
I make a motion for approval of November 2014 financial statements, bills to pay, balances on hand, collectors, police, and court reports.
Second.
All in favor? Reno. Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Thank you, Bill.
Second on that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?